Ya, benar-benar. Selain itu juga banyak sekali yang bisa dibilang pengumpulan hashtag.
I do imagine it's going to be a slow game to start off, besides the rotation up north. But even then, I think teams will be super cautious with the way they approach this northern rotation. It's a tough rotation with the bridges being camped and all, but it's an easy scout, honestly. The bridge camps or the bridge access ways to the northern side of Erangel, it's quite easy to see if a team is set up just waiting for rotations. So there shouldn't be any casualties as far as rotations go in the first circle, but there will be some tricky maneuvers to be had by some of these teams to get in more center of the first zone.
Vampire looking to get on the road a little bit from Primorsk. They're playing sort of around the southwest area, around Quarry, around Primorsk. And it looks like they're going to try and head up the west coast, maybe stopping off a couple times, grabbing a little bit of loot. Of course, the circle is closing in, and it will be fairly fast on that south side, given the position of the circle.
Taking a look at Bacon Time here. Had an absolutely insane performance yesterday. If you guys missed the second day, and you take a look at the leaderboards, it is drastically different from how day one ended. Bacon Time and Vampire, too. Vampire and Bacon Time both way up there, along with Dom Juan. Nova still clinging on to striking distance of the top three. And I feel like Nova, they had a rather difficult day yesterday in terms of the zone shifts. They were chasing the circle for quite a lot of them, but they still managed, to around the top 5. Over the course of the days, typically in any tournament, has always been on the improvement side. So you might see them, get up to top 3, maybe break into that top 4. So we'll see how this one starts off for them. Nova, meanwhile, taking a look, are starting their rotation. 5 minutes in, taking a look at the bridge. Should be able to see it is clear. Fireflux is nearby though, and they might set on a collision course here.
Nova, I've been spotted. Jimmy takes some damage.
Oh, they stopped. Fireflux stopped.
But they did pull up. So did Fireflux. Both teams now looking to entrench a little bit on this scrap. This is a really, really interesting position to hold, especially given the shade of the circle, because it will, of course, basically be in the way of all of those West Coast rotations.
I love what Order did right there. He had a feeling that Fireflux was going to continue to try and rotate, and he instantly went to the shack to try and cut that off, but Fireflux did manage to get ahead of them. Now the question is Fireflux going to stay here to try and camp them out? I don't think they should, because chances are Nova's not going to just straight up cross the bridge if you guys are stopped here. And for Fireflux, they're still early on the rotation. They could still get a really good position in the center zone. And there's so many different ways to cross the bridge, right? You see that already. Nova's just going to go ahead and take the other bridge, wasting no time. So Fireflux should start moving just as well. Unless if they're playing a more of an edge strategy from the southern side, then they could elect to stay there.
Fireflux seemingly just moving a little bit further east. Donuts USG, they get to a nice central compound in terms of the playable area in this next circle. HPVP did in fact move north towards the coast, currently on a 2-2 split to the north side of shooting range. They're just regrouping there. So they'll be playing, I imagine, on the compound that's just on the junction of the path and the road on the north side. That's what they'll be looking to try and take control of.
Yeah, so they once again are essentially playing on the edge of circle. They're keeping their backs clear with the water on their backside. So sticking true to the way they've been playing this whole entire week. They had a really good chance for just like center circle, maybe on top of that crash plane, which is a very strong position. But they are going to decide to not do that. Instead, it's actually Fireflux here in that position that I was just talking about. And Nova trying to look for it as well. Now Lutz here did rotate up a little bit early to secure this spot. The rest of his team is here, and Nova is forced to find a different position. But I don't think Fireflux has shot just yet. So Nova might not know for sure. Nova's...
Probably about 30% of the circle still in the water and unplayable.
Shooting range is going to be a very interesting spot to keep a lookout for, just because there's so many dips and just ridges all around shooting range, and shooting range itself is a strong position to play, but just north of that is another very strong position that we do see the HVVP team taking a look at, and I think it's 1 million has one player set up there on the hill. Here's the shooting range location, and you can already see so many teams coming in here to fill in on these various trenches and dips.
Trying to move through, get a little bit of information, scouts, nothing else. They're playing fairly tight packets together. At this stage, I think order actually is just regrouping there. So they're pretty close in their little ditch that they've managed to find on the hills to the south side of shooting range. Donos USG a little bit further down. Potentially crunching in on the south.
The amount of power positions in this area is insane. Just take a look at this. USG is in a great position at that bunker. Nova's also at a great position with that shack for hard cover, but more importantly, they have various ridge levels to work with. And then you got all of the dips. We still have 64 alive with such a small circle, and I imagine it's going to stay around the maybe 60 plus range, because there is just so many playable positions with different options in a circle as small as this one, given the fact that it's only the second circle.
Alpha 7 making their cross from the south side. They are currently crossing on that central river island. They have been playing from the south the longest of times. Will be seeing where their route is, if they can find one, in fact, because it's starting to get quite crowded here with that much of the circle out of play.
Yeah, this is going to be particularly more difficult for Alpha 7 to navigate, in my opinion, because as they head on north, there's just numerous positions that they have to crack over and over to get more and more center. It's not like other Erangel circles where there's ways to rotate around and strike in from the side, whereas this terrain is just one giant sloping hill down into hard covered areas. So Alpha 7's going to need a little bit of circle blessings here to give them a little bit of a reprieve from a very difficult circle. We have STE here on the southeastern side edging in with power close by. Now some of these teams on the edges of the zone will probably not engage in a full-out fight given how difficult the situation is with the current circle, but they might decide to just take the fight, get some points, seeing how difficult it is to get in, and we're going to head into the next circle from here.
Fireflux on the western side to mount up a little bit. The shift does come a lot more land-based, so maybe that's a little bit of a blessing.
Comes the rotation out of Fireflux. They've been on the move since the start of the game. Once again, they're going to find a good spot in the center. There is one player of 1 million. Here's Nova contesting a spot against Evos. They're here first. The rest of Evos pulling up, though, in full force. Nova drops another one. King goes down. It's all up to Jimmy here. Where's the rest of the Nova team? They're coming in from the distance. Not needed. Jimmy clutches up there, and Nova only lose one player for that. They secure a good position. Not super center. They pick up 3 players and get 4 points.
Player to a knock, should be able to res that one back up. As you said, there was one player from 1 million. That's Marshall playing behind the wall here. Got the high ground as well, being controlled. Catch spotted on the entrance. Nice pick up on the window, but doesn't quite land the bullets through it. Marshall has to fall back a little bit. 3 teams now taking occupation. Actually 4 teams coming in trying to occupy Severny. Should be okay for now, but any more, and it is going to start to go off like a firecracker.
EU Alliance here. Lost 1 player to the Knights team. Still trying to fight back. The Knights on the very edge of zone. They already got 1 elimination on UD Alliance. This might be the team that they're looking for to secure some points because they desperately need it. And this is a isolated by great nade by Coops. This should open things up. But they did only take down the center player. There's still 2 on either side, but it looks like UD Alliance is going to decide to retreat and give this fight up, giving the Knights control of this southern edge.
There's no way that UD Alliance go for that revive on Siamel. Just move forwards as 2, moving a little bit further north. Difficult terrain low. There's so many teams already here. HVVP, further north than this, currently still playing a little bit of a 2-2 split. Alpha 7, who gave them trouble last time around. Let's hope that HVVP know that there are players here now. Seems like they might have spotted this on the hillside. Information gathering is solid. Leaving Meku and Matic out the back. Seems to have spotted that rotation.
Yeah, that's that backfill there that they're trying to prevent. This time around doing a little bit of a better job, but Tixie goes very low. He actually gets knocked out by Mythic. Alpha 7 being Alpha 7, this could be a full out fight here. It is crazy that Alpha 7 rotates in from military base, HVVP on the complete opposite side of the map starting point, but here they find themselves entangled once again.
HVVP knew that Alpha 7 were there, and Tixie went into a complete broadside position. Not entirely sure about that one, but now they're going to send along the coast and try and stay covered from the settlement. Move in on the northern corner with the circle popping south of it. Might want to actually crash over towards Bacon time if Matic is going to go for it. Might divert though.
There's a nice dish that they can play instead. Yeah, right here at this position. It's a spot to keep them alive, but once the chaos dies down, they can easily get naded. And yeah, here comes the nades already. Chances are they will be able to survive unless if they get a little bit unlucky. And hold that thought. HVVP instead is just going to fire back right into the windows and get a knock on Fireflux instead.
It's a really good pickup to take as well, because Fireflux are going to have to watch out on multiple sides. They can't fully commit to taking the fight across the road with HVVP unless it becomes the very pressing issue that it might well do against this squad. But with HVVP on the outside, they're probably not even looking to push into the center.
Not at all. HVVP is just going to stay there and hold it down. Got a lot of teams now deciding to use the shacks. There are a couple of shacks in play. We see Nova using one of those shacks right now. I think Nova is actually just down to one player. Yeah, Nova's down to the solo, and he's stuck in that shack, and his Paraboy. And that shack's not very central either. He's going to hope that he gets the next zone. Alpha 7 running into U2 Alliance. U2 Alliance only down to 2. However, Mythic is going to step up to try and take down 1. And not able to. Alpha 7 losing 2 players.
Managed to take down a player from HVVP, but it seems like U2 Alliance are a little bit too much, and Pittsburgh Kites are going to chime in on the engagement. They know all about them from Americas. They've got Alpha 7 on the ropes now. Mafioso last standing in a challenge with U2 Alliance. They will be able to win Alpha first, but can they stay safe from the Pittsburgh scopes?
The Knights need to play a little bit aggressive here, in my opinion. They need the points. They have full control of the edge. I want to see them play like the Knights that I saw in the Americas, a bit more confident, a bit more aggressive. I feel like they've just been falling to the wayside every single fight, and here we go. Here's that aggression that I want to see. Clear out the sides. It's a 4v1. They should be able to get this. Mafioso stuck in the smoke all by his lonesome, and just spray that smoke down, and finally the Knights confirm and finish off that fight. The Knights up to 4 eliminations. This is the best start that the Knights have had all week long.
And they've kept all 4 of them alive. I mean, there's been a knock sent out their way, but they are on the edge of the circle. They can regroup, they can figure out their paths moving forward. Paraboy obviously holding solo in that shack. Might be a good position for them to try and move in towards, but it won't be easy with the Donuts USG team taking a look out over that area.
I would like to see if the circle shifts back down to the southwest. I would like to see the Knights maybe take control of that bunker. It's so easy to just play over the top side of it as long as their backs are cleared and essentially trap the USG team in. But the next circle is about to shift. We're gonna have a better idea of where this chaos is going to continue to ensue. Skylights Gaming all the way on the eastern side on the high ground with the warehouse. We have Star Wars Esports on the south side playing from the low ground. I think Star Wars should have 4 players. Yeah, they still do have 4 players off. Here comes the next circle, John.
Should pop any moment now. It's going to give us a little bit more time to wait, but there he goes, out east. Skylights Gaming keep their building in the compound. The south point of Severny still going to be alive in this circle. So Fireflux might be able to hold it for a little bit longer if they don't want to take the second position first.
The western side's going to get hectic here, especially out in the city of Severny. Might see a team wrap around north right into Bacon time. This is actually a very strong position to strike into the rest of the zone. Might see Vampire Esports elect to do that, as, yep, they are starting to navigate rotate their way out. Venom's got that nade prop though. This could spell trouble.
Don't think Vampire are going to wait too long though. Ravenclaw does hop out and redistribute vehicles, getting a little bit of scouting done because they've been on that west side for a while. Schweppes leads out the charge, but don't think Venom's going to unleash them on the nades just yet.
Yeah, they might actually wait for more of the players to leave before they fully commit. Here comes the Knights rotation. This is a full send if I've seen one. Spec gets ripped out. Domwon Gaming and Fireflux and HVVP all taking shots at them.
They are in the crossfire, but somehow 3 of them are still alive. Tensor brings that down to 2 now. They do manage to make it to a rock. Coops, though, taking damage, still will get knocked. Only one player remains. Xenox, he was offered up to 3 or 4 teams there, but doesn't get picked up by any of them. Fortunately, though, his teammates aren't so lucky. And down to 1 for the Pittsburgh Knights as Vampire go for their crash into the circle. They swung out of the north peak of Severny. They're now in the north side of this circle, close to bacon time. Not taking it just yet.
That rotation was rough for the Knights. I feel like there was other options that they could have done. Maybe swinging from the south side, given the fact that they had control of the southern area. But that's too late to be said now. Skylights Gaming continuing to hold strong. I like what they're doing here. They sent one player out to put out pressure, so they're not just all hunkered down on the top of the hill being passive. Here comes HVVP. He's throwing some nades towards the side of Vampire Esports, and they are getting battered down.
Oh, another beautiful nade over the top from Kitsune. Peels the shots over onto Vampire. They did answer with a nade back over to Matic, but that's been rezzed up. Kitsune now trying to just stay alive. Has some cover, has both sides of this ridgeline as well. Fireflux being covered off by that smoke. Fireflux actually more worried about the teams moving through the settlement. Down 1 from the north side. 1 million as well. All going to be putting pressure in. Vampire dwindling as time goes on. Schweppes, the last player behind the tree.
Nice shots out of Skylights Gaming. Great sight lines to be had up here. Oh, he's going to get the next shot in. Schweppes doing the best he can. Dodging bullets, dodging nades, coming this way, throwing down smokes, and HVVP is going to end up taking that one.
Vampire do go down 12th place. Not good news, but Bacon Time are going to be happy about that. Done one as well, despite their difficult scenario right now. Going to be glad that there's other teams going down early. Nova do fall to the blue zone, not going to be able to find too much more there. Done one also eliminated. Bacon Time now looking to try and charge up those leaderboards, but they're shifted away from them. It's going to make that pretty hard. HVVP will have to move south as well.
Everybody's got to move in besides Power. Great shift from Power, holding down the strongest compound there is left in the zone. The Knights go out. I think a nade did manage to find his way in that shack. Now it's Fireflux versus the 2-man team of 1 million. I think Fireflux should optimize eliminations before doing anything in the next circle, because the next circle has barely anywhere that they can play. May as well pick up the points now with a 4-man team.
Nade over the top from Marshall, takes half of Ketch's health bar, but is it going to be enough? Still has that barrel pointed their way. 4 is more than 2, as far as I'm aware. Solus, trade through the window, but bullets do fly both ways. It's Ketch on the wall, Lutz as well. 1 million are going to have to move first, and as you say, optimize for the elimination points. In the meantime, HVVP looking to move, picking up the utility from the shack that Pittsburgh Knights will have left behind there. Fireflux are going to disengage from this hole. They're going to allow 1 million a little bit of an easier route of egress and trade that off for potentially a little bit faster move towards the zone.
I don't think that's a good idea. They're just going to get stabbed in the back and worry about what's on their front side. They should have played a bit more aggressive, but they're quite aware. They're quite aware of that backstab, so good job out of the Fireflux team. Fireflux up to 9 eliminations already. Wow. Been having a great game. Bacon Time full sending it in, trying to find whatever they could play. The smokes, a rock, and a car. That's all they got.
HVVP moved to the shack that they took the final player of the Pittsburgh Knights down in and have been playing from there. They opted to rotate for a midway position and try and play from this edge site, but now it seems like Skylights Gaming are turning their attention northwards with Fireflux rolling up. It's going to be hard to hold up, but a nade to start things off is good. Matic, though, gets a little bit bold, runs around on the outside, gets punished for it. Now needs to crawl back in, but Fireflux are going to try and swing in on the north edge. Ketch is spotted, though, and Inco chime in. Third party coming through.
nerves of steel out of Ketch to go prone, and instead of trying to shift into cover, immediately fires back. I think Ketch is the top player as far as damage is concerned out of the Fireflux team, and we can see right there how experienced of a player he is. They are still taking shots by Inko, and they have to worry about HVVP nades too if they've still got more.
Don't know how many more they will have at this stage. HVVP took a nade fight with Vampire. I think they took a nade fight with the remnants of Pittsburgh Knights as well. So it might be a little bit dry on those supplies. You can see, yeah, there's none on that player that we flicked over to briefly. But this trade between Inko and Fireflux is allowing HVVP to survive at this stage. However, the blue zone will not be so kind.
Catch goes down. Yeah, the blue zone, that's the ultimate Grim Reaper here, because as long as these teams are taking fights, they're not able to move into zone. Now Lute's forced in, goes prone. HVVP already in a much better position where they're not getting... Oh, just as I say that, Skylights Gaming finds an angle onto them.
Mr. Board will be able to leverage the dinner plate. Serve it up. HVVP, Meku, last player standing for the squad. Bacon time, right in the middle, did manage to weather the storm that was being put out their way. How did they survive with 3 in that position, I'll never know, but maybe all of the other teams were just too preoccupied with their own rotations.
Yeah, there comes a time where you just kind of have to weather the storm for a few minutes and you're good. Here comes Skylights Gaming. Meku gets down 1, but he got 2. A run over from the backside. The players of HVVP, every single one of them so deadly. This should be a full reset. No team's able to third party this. And Power once again with the zone at this compound. 3 eliminations for them though, so they've been putting in some work at least.
Bacon time, they are not too far away from the points total that HVVP were able to accrue. They were, at the start of today, only 19 points behind on the overall standings, and if Bacon time can put up a decent result here, if they can pick up 1 or 2 more eliminations and grab a hefty chunk of placement points, then they're going to put a healthy dent in that, maybe even challenge down 1 for second place.
Ooh, Skylights losing a player for no real reason. They could have been 4 strong from the top. That's a crucial loss for them. This might give a chance for Star Wars to swing over the backside and take control of the top as a 4-man team. Looks like Star Wars is actually going to stay in the southeast and play from there. Coming down to showdown now. We still have 4 teams up with considerable firepower. 2 4-man teams and 2 3-man teams.
I saw what the southeast side, Power lighting it up now. Here's Bacon time. 2 of the players have fallen. Only 1 player remains for Bacon time. Current 3rd place team. No one around them alive on the tables. They're going to put the burn on. That is right on target on top of the buggy. Forces Shirty out. Might even get that elimination on the bird tip.
Some help from Skylights Gaming over the top. Knocks one of the Power members down. Skylights Gaming, I don't think they're going to mount a push right here. Oh, actually, I think this is a little bit, thinks better of it. Realizes the terrain's quite open for them, so they're going to wait for the next circle before really committing to anything.
Central area, very barren. On a sloping hillside as well, not too much cover to play with. Maybe a divot or 2, a tree, a rock, but very, very sparse. And you can see that in the teams being spaced around the edges. No one looking to move central, because as soon as you do, everybody's looking your way.
John, all I gotta say is I love these zones. I love it when the circles end out in the open with like 3-man, 4-man teams on all sides, and they just have to slowly push in and just take a slugfest with every single other team here.
We might like it, might be entertaining, but I'm sure they are going through hell right now. Keeping those comms calm, keeping them clear. And when Godlike Store gets lit up like that, you know that's going to pop off slightly. 2 players all down. Scry and Top both going to be eliminated. There's really no 2 ways about it, unless Godlike Store heavily invest right now into moving over. They won't be able to pick 1 back up. Top still bleeding, spotted out in the open. Again, slept on up by Power.
Power taking fights on 2 different fronts. Here's that push that I wish Star Wars did more confidently over the top with 4. But they're picking apart Skylights Gaming now. Skylights trying to do what they can to stay alive. Yeah, they're on the high ground, but that just means everyone can look up there and pick them apart. That is Skylights Gaming eliminated. We're down to 3, and Power still has 4 players.
momentum here. Picking up a chicken dinner would be a great way to kick off the day. They still have their work cut out. There's 2 players from Bacon Time and 2 players from Godlike Stalwart. Spotting sees him pop up into the buggy and immediately takes him down. Brings Bacon Time for 1.
That's a mistake. Probably thought better, but as soon as he got ripped out, action getting very close. I don't think the power player has meds either. Those 2 players have been on 1 HP this whole time.
Frante also completely out of meds. Maybe divvying them up, sharing them around. Only 1 player at full bar. She moves forwards. Nade goes over the head. Doesn't tag peek either. To the top, spotted, sprayed down. Shirty eliminated. Last player from Bacon Time will fall down. And now Power in a 4 versus 1. Excellent execution towards the end here. Being able to find a nade over towards one of them, sure, but action spotted. And Power take the first chicken dinner of the day.
That is Power shooting up in the leaderboards too now. I do believe I think it was 7. One of the people on the desk called out Power, saying to keep an eye out for them because they've been hanging on in there in the top of the leaderboards. And with that first win, I don't think top 3, but just right outside of it most likely.
It was fairly quiet in terms of eliminations. 4 eliminations coming through for their MVP. But is it going to be enough to see them towards the top 3? I don't think they'll have been able to fully close that gap with Bacon Time getting in as deep as they did.
Sure.
It will be pretty tricky, but they're definitely back in that conversation, which is kind of wild considering their first day finish.
Yeah. This was a team that started off with hot drops against Nova and just got decimated twice in a row. And I think at that point in time, a few of the people probably wrote them off as like a top contending team, but now all of a sudden they're in there. They're at the top. Star Wars having a really good game to start off the day too, which I think is huge because they've been starting off every day in a very rough shape and form. But this is a good morale booster in my opinion.
Absolutely. It's really good to kick things off with a chicken dinner. It does, as you say, give them that confidence to move forwards into the day. Try and keep that momentum going. That's what it's going to all be about. Vampire Esports didn't make it too late into the game. Nova went up fairly early. So with that, Power can look to leapfrog up the tables and, maybe unexpectedly for some, put themselves in the top 3 contention.
but I'm not against it, okay? And this is the second time, I do have to point this out, this is the second chicken dinner that Power's able to get. And both chicken dinners, every single time, they haven't actually had to rotate that much. They haven't really had to do much of the movement right up until the end. So it's good to see that this team, whenever they are given the chance to win the game, they capitalize on it.
Absolutely. Any team right now at this stage can do it, and Power Esports is no exception. I mean, we've seen them be able to have pop-off matches before, and just here in game number 1, I don't think they could have asked for a better time to do it, because this is it, everybody. It's today, tomorrow, and this thing is over. And for the position that they were on in the leaderboard, man, I can't wait to see how they go and push up from there here. What do you think?
100%. Look at the
Take a look here.
PMGC fan favorite vote, though. S2G is actually still on top. Hey, I do see somebody from our squad, though.
Yeah,
Oh, really?
right?
Yes. That's surprising. I did not expect them to be there, actually. I expected some other teams, but good job, well, you guys have a great following.
So talk about, tell your fans, tell everybody out there to go vote right now inside the game. Hopefully you win some of those sweet in-game rewards there. So, man, after that last match, you know, I love to see these zones. Sute said it here. There's something about PMGZ where these zones come out, and we're always going to see some nice shenanigans. And, man, that lay-down snake play towards the end, Power Esports just got it done. By the way, guys, here, you can see right there, your feedback is important. Go ahead and share it via the 2022 PMGC viewer survey. You can see it right there. Tell us, you know, what we could do better. Give your comments. And this is where you can really let your voice heard. Right, Glitter?
Yeah, please, because we want to make the best show possible. So whatever you guys have to say about what we're doing right, what we're doing wrong, we'd love to hear it.
Yes, indeed. So let's go ahead and take a look at the overall rankings to see exactly where it all stacks up after that one. And Power Esports jumping up to 4th place.
What a big jump up from there, and look how far down the mighty have fallen. Nova currently in 8th place. HPVP, I gotta give it some props, Glitter. This team is just so hard to eliminate, and when they were up against Fireflux, they only had one player standing, and I was like, okay, it's over for them. Nope, they were somehow able to just maintain themselves, collect themselves, actually regroup, and they're still in 1st place, and I think that's why, because they're just so hard to eliminate.
Yeah, and I mean, Fireflux had a phenomenal game on top of it, so that just goes to show how resilient HVVP was, but we see Alpha 7 dropping down into the 2nd page, and then all the way down there at the bottom. You know, we didn't get to highlight them, but Inco did step it up a little bit in this 1st match, and that puts the Knights down there in last.
Last place. Oh, hate to see it there from the Knights. The only U.S. representatives here in the PMGC. Hopefully they can make some miracle bounce back, and they got to do it ASAP. Miramar is up next, and we saw them get 1v2'd pretty rough in that last Miramar that we saw yesterday. So, man, I wonder, what do you think they need to do different here, 7, if they want to stand a chance at bouncing back?
I tell you, hold up a second. Let me look at this real quick, though. Top Miramar performance. Nova, please show us something in this upcoming Miramar. Alpha 7, you as well, because both of those teams definitely need to step up the big way here. I don't think they want to continue on the performances that they're doing. As you can see, they've been able to put up great dominations. And with me, I'm actually going to be looking at Nova and HVVP. Every single time we go to Miramar, we have seen them engage at least once. At least once per match, so that's going to be an engagement.
But somebody also keep an eye on Ruins, you know, if we're going to see that, you know, that Eco Gaming, Dawang Esports, you know, hot drop. That's going to be interesting here. Now, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at y'all's teams to watch. I see Alpha 7 on there. Alpha 7 always does really well on Miramar. But, you know, I also see Evo 7. You're looking to really see them bounce back here?
It's not even a bounce back. It's more like a wake-up call. This is why I'm picking them. I'm not expecting them to win or anything, but it's a wake-up call because their performance has not been great. This is not. And now you have Inco Gaming, even though, yeah, they didn't get a win, they were still able to get, I think it was somewhere along the lines of 10 points, 12 points. That's going to start catching up if Evo's continues with this performance. They're not going to be able to create a gap with those bottom 5 teams, and it's just going to make it even tighter and a lot harder for themselves if this is what's going to happen tomorrow.
Glitter?
Yeah,
and million. Why is that?
I did, because 1 million is starting to creep up on that 11th spot. Evos is only 6 saw that most recent overall. And if that first game is any indication, 1 Million Esports did better than Evo did. And if they average just a few points more all day today, that will knock Evos out of that safety bubble. So I'm going to keep my eyes on them, see how they can do. I'm still looking at Skylines because they've managed to carry their momentum from yesterday into today, and they're going to keep chipping away and creating some cushion, right? Because now they're jumping up from where they want to be. They're going to keep getting some more points. That's going to be huge. And then Bacon, at this point, I need to see if they overtake them.
Could be possible. Could be possible. Take a look inside the battlegrounds. See, you do Alliance there. Getting ready here for this next match. Personally, I got to keep an eye on the Knights, man. I'm hoping to see them bounce back here today. Bacon time. Look at that. Sit still, focus. These guys did not mess around. Yesterday, they had more points than any other team 3 games in a row. Absolute insane performance yesterday, Seth.
They definitely did, and I mean, I even talked about it yesterday. HVVP with the amazing performance that they had in day 1, Bacon was still able to outperform that by 4 points yesterday. So it goes to show what they were able to do. Look at some of the exercises he's doing right there. Okay, I like to play, so I might have to start doing that. Get my hand-eye coordination there. And Glitter, with that 1 minute call out, I was so happy that he didn't pick a certain team, but I see that we kind of had the same idea with me calling out Evos to wake up and just calling 1 million pretty much to keep doing what they're doing because they might be able to catch up to Evos.
We are 2 sides of the same coin, okay? That's what happens when we are on the analyst desk for as many years together as we have been. It's the same thought process, just we're expressed differently. But in the grand scheme of things, both those teams do need to really continue picking up the pace if they want to not have to worry about it on last day. We talk about this in every single level of competition. Putting all of the pressure on your shoulders for that last day of competition is not enough sometimes. You never know how some of the other teams are going to stack up. So when you have a little bit of extra time, that's when you need to get those points on the board. Give yourself a little bit of breathing room because they don't have it right now. I need to figure out how to do this.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I'm looking at some of the other stats here from Ludo Alliance. Ludo Alliance, I mean, they have been quiet, right? They are currently within that 13th place. I feel like that's another squad that might be able to catch up to Evos before Evos not able to win back to that 24. And that's based on some of the previous performances that we have seen of them. I mean, this squad has been able to put up 7 eliminations, 5 eliminations. Yeah, their placement might not be that high. But if they can, for some reason, get it together, they might have a chance to have a pop-up performances, not only just get the chicken dinner, but impress by being able to collect a lot of eliminations along the way.
Honestly, there are a lot of teams that if they do continue some stronger performances, and that's why we keep saying the points are so close, they can leapfrog multiple squads with 1 chicken dinner. And if a similar situation happens with HVVP where they aren't at the top, when those top squads aren't absorbing all of the points and being those point sponges, then it opens up the door for everybody below them. And that's kind of what we're seeing a little bit with Power now. Power jumping up those rankings with some of the top squads being a little bit quieter. Not even performing badly, just not as dominant as they did on the first day comparatively. And that's why I said I still am keeping my eyes on Bacon because Bacon, is now 1 point behind Damwon for 2nd place. And if they can get into 2nd by the end of the day, that's the breathing room we're talking about. That puts the pressure onto Damwon to stay in 3rd place now and secure their spot into grand final. It's all a game of mental at that point, and that's what we've heard in multiple interviews now as well, Juice. So many players talking about their mental being the biggest factor in what is impacting their gameplay for the day.
It is, and it's crazy because we've seen it so many times. Every single tournament, these teams that struggle throughout the entire, start, midway, they always seem to pop off right at the end. And it's always because, at that point they don't have anything to lose. So they just start playing themselves, and then they just start popping off, putting up crazy points up on the board. And you know that just hurts their heart so much because they wish they could have done that earlier, and they just say, why didn't we just play it the way we normally play it? But that's a question that they have to wait until next time. So hopefully, the good thing is that a lot of these teams have played at a stage like this similarly before, so they kind of know what to do in those scenarios. But for those teams and those players that have never, ever experienced this stage, whew, I mean, the pressure is on big time. Someone's got to go and rally them up, rally the troops, and say, hey, guys, let's shake it off. I know we had a bad game, but it's time to pop off, baby. Time to show what we got. We just saw Homeboy a little earlier throwing some shadow clone jutsu signs, Got to pull any bunny out the hat that you can right now at this point, Glitter.
You need it, okay? It's time to start kicking in that clutch factor. We're seeing our players getting their headsets on. Everybody's getting set up and ready for this next match. I'm excited to get into it.
Let's get into it indeed. Match number 2 is locked, loaded, ready to go. Let's take it on over to John Allen and Sute.
Thank you very much. We're going into Miramar this time around, of course, for the second game of the day. We were admiring as Pubg's put it, the Shadow Clone Jutsu's coming through to warm up for the game. But I feel like even that might not be enough to take down HVVP if they don't make those mistakes. We've been sort of seeing it a little bit more over the last couple of games.
It's seeming like the gap is definitely starting to close, though. However, it's off of the back of huge games from other teams. It's not really HVVP dropping the ball. So they're still playing very consistent, and I feel like they're going to keep their lead. We might see them lose it by the end of today, but I'm still feeling confident in HVVP maintaining that top position. But it's just absolutely crazy pop-off games for some teams just out of nowhere, such as Power. Power, I wouldn't say any of us counted them out by any means. They were managing to stay in the top 8 before that last game. But for them to just swing right up there, just shy of the top 3, and we're only one game in on day 3, hey, Power could be one of the top 3 teams by the end of the day very easily.
I mean, they're 12 points behind the bubble right now, that third place top bubble, as we called it, which right now, very, very achievable, right, over the essentially 2 full worth of games still yet to come. Bacon Time will be on that bubble with 134, Power on 122 to kick off this game. Down one, only 1 point ahead of Bacon Time as well on 135. So not only are they chasing one, they're chasing 2 potential teams who might have a bad game. Double your chances. It's great.
Yeah, the point spread getting ever so closer. And I think it's kind of similar to week number 1, where we're at a point where it's like we have a faint idea, but we're also quite well aware that anything can change at a moment's notice. As far as this Miramar game goes, the plane path, probably one of the nicer ones that we've ever seen on Miramar. Everybody should be able to drop where they want to with no real contention. All we need to look for now is the zone. I think every single game of Miramar so far, we've had a very interesting first circle start. Yesterday, we had a zone end in El Pozo, and now we have a northeastern circle. And correct me if I'm wrong, John, but I don't think we've had a first circle on the northeast side on Miramar yet either.
I'm trying to think back now. You put me on the spot. I don't think we have.
Yeah, I don't think so.
We've had a northwest. I think we had
definitely northwest, southwest.
Yeah, we had a southwest finish. I'll have to go back and look through, but this will be certainly interesting to see how the teams adapt and deal with this. No teams breaking out far east just yet. Of course, it is still early. Those vehicles still very much up for grabs. Solke trying to wing a bullet past the skull. Won't be able to land them though. Fortunately, won't be able to find a knock for Fireflux. Moving east, you're probably going to be seeing, I guess, Evos, as you can see, in the vehicles. Nova, potentially, if they grab a couple, could head over towards Impala or El Azahar. But at the moment, Power are ahead of the curve getting out towards El Azahar, potentially even moving up towards Tierra Bronca. Alpha 7, though, already taking a lot of space around that northern side, as well as Vampire up in Torre Hamada.
Yeah. I'm thinking back, so we had a very eastern circle, remember, where it ended north of Impala, the game that HVVP took. I think it came down to Evos versus HVVP at the very last moment, and HVVP had that MK14 in hand and managed to clutch that 1v2. So we had a very eastern circle, but as far as northeast is concerned, I'm pretty sure we have yet to see one end somewhere up here. So very interesting. Almost like every game, we've been getting different circles. Not only has the way the circles worked changed as far as, you know, how much it shrinks towards the end game, which in my opinion has been giving us very, very entertaining end game circles, but the zones haven't been repeating themselves that much either in each of the maps.
It's good to see a little bit of variation. And it is really a test for these teams, right? It is a test of their depth of knowledge, their options, their adaptability, and also, I suppose, their memory, right? Because you've got to remember your entire playbook and then get a new leaf out of it every single game. It's not like you can go back to something you only recently recalled. It's going to be pretty tricky to keep all of that held in. So it's a test of IGL skill as well, pretty intensely.
Definitely. So I think, as for me, as an ex-competitive player, that was the biggest draw for me as to why I love playing PUBG Mobile competitive. It's just the numerous amounts of different factors that seem like, you know, it's out of your control, especially with the way the circle shifts. But if you play like a bajillion games over and over, you can almost get it down to a science, right? But then, of course, you have 3 other team members that you need to, you know, synergize with and mesh with, and it's almost like a chess game, but at the highest levels.
Yeah, this team scenario really does test the bonds that the teams can form. And of course, it's easy to sort of look at rosters and say, oh, I would take, you know, Paraboy and Order from Nova and bring in Tixie from HVVP and, like, you know, put together like a star roster. But oftentimes we see this when all-star rosters form, it just falls flat because that synergy isn't there, because that trust in the IGL, that communication that you talked about, getting everybody on the same page and thinking as one, playing as a hive mind, is so tricky. And when you find it, it works.
Yeah, and then also there's no one correct way to play this game either. We've seen, you know, just different styles. HVVP, definitely a very aggressive style, but Damwon Gaming, we see them when they're 4 up in the late game, we see how slow and methodically they play. HVVP, meanwhile, on the other hand, you know, when they have 4 up in the late game and they even have the slightest advantage, man, they strike hard and fast. So it's not even that there's one correct way to play. So depending on the player's play style, you know, all of that also comes into effect. We're now about 6 minutes in. We're seeing a lot of teams rotate into the central of the zone. The Knights, by the way, did land Picado uncontested. Of course, Vampire landing very north of the map, north of Cruz de Valle. And we see, I'm seeing HVVP also rotating very far north, probably maybe right into the Vampire.
Potentially, we'll see if they spot those shooters. They should have had the wherewithal to know that another team is dropping out on those northern sides. It is HVVP after all. The scouting should be fairly well executed, but they move to the area just to the south of Oasis right now. It looks like they're going to draw short north of water treatment. Won't run all the way into Vampire just yet. Bacon Time could potentially backfill on this location with a wide, long west rotation heading north of La Cooperaria right now.
You might see a lot of edges on the fights that break out rather than in the middle, because in the center of the map, we have a lot of strong power positions that are very hard to crack open. Most likely around the center of the circle, we'll see some shots and trades back and forth long range, as the Knights trying to get a little bit aggressive. They want control of this side of the hill. I think it's very well done by them. Xenox does have cover from his backside. Becker with the nade, though. I think Xenox is just trying to create presence. A little mind game here to bait out a grenade, potentially. Here comes the support. Inko and the Knights. 2 teams that are struggling at the bottom of the leaderboards, and we might see them get into a clash here.
That dumb one all the way down south. I didn't even realize they were still on the map. Goodness me. They're all the way down south, currently just emerging from the South Island. Moving past me, there's Elias, coming in on the south side, most likely just to the west of Los Leones, maybe running into Fireflux if they don't have to break a little bit wider. Interesting they didn't want to go for that west side rotation. They decided instead to head up a little bit more central.
STE actually getting some shots into Inko. Inko smack in the middle of everyone. Alpha 7, the Knights, and Star Wars Esports all taking a look at Inko. And Inko actually loses a player holding the center of the circle. That is not good for them whatsoever. If you're holding center zone at a power position, the knock, okay, that's fine. But getting a player flushed out, that's a mistake.
Godlike Stalwart will be able to pick that one up as well. As you say, getting flushed out, far from ideal. Next circle pops, and look at that, power control, a massive area in the middle of it. Can they hold on to it, or are they going to look to regroup?
If they were Nova, they would not regroup. But they're not Nova, so I think they will group up. Which, that is not a problem whatsoever. We've seen Nova play splits, and it has bit Nova in the butt. So Power being a team that seems to be more on the safe side, and it's working for them, right? They're in the top 4. You should group up a little bit. But the rotations right now with the circle shift, it is coming through. And Jimmy's got to be careful. The Knights smells weakness here as Jimmy's getting chased down by Spec now. Car getting shot down to 1 HP. Jimmy, I don't think he can make it out of this one.
No way.
Is he
Just managed to get off the cliff.
Right over the
Just
ridge.
managed to dip through. And you take those, right? You do take the knock, but you're a little bit safer. Can you bloom a smoke? Will the Pittsburgh Knights be able to roll up on the cliff? There. He's looking for the rundown. There is backup, though. Is he just going to push out for the flush? Jimmy cannot be saved. Paraguay late on the smoke.
I don't think they were expecting the team to chase them down this hard, but it makes sense. The Knights are desperate for points here, and it is Nova losing a member now on this rotation. The Knights playing extremely aggressive, and they kind of had to at this point.
It was necessary, as you say. Bottom of the tables right now. They need to step up. We've seen little glimmers of it today. I feel like they have had a couple of better instances of gameplay coming through, but it's still not quite there. It's not in place. And you know, it's the same story for Inko. This is not the teams that you would expect, having watched them in their respective regions, right? They showed so much more promise over in those regional stages. But this is what PMGC is all about. It's about finding out who can stand up to the test of global pressure.
Pressure is strong, especially on Nova. I think since the start, or towards the end of day 2 and the beginning of day 3, they've just been dropping down in the leaderboards constantly. They've been getting some points here and there each game, but they've made no progress in going into the top 3, but rather dropping down overall rankings bit by bit, and losing a player this early on in Miramar, it's not good for them.
Down one, moving actually up the east coast. Okay, so instead of going up to that wide west rotation, of course they started in those south islands, they decided instead to move all the way to the east side. The plane path was west leaning, so I suppose their logic is that there's going to be fewer teams on this side, on the eastern side, with teams having moved in from the southwest. They can try and sneak into the north side of Al-Zahar. But with the circle as it is and the lateness with which they're entering it, teams are already central. I feel like that's kind of assuaged itself.
Might be easier to work in from the east terrain-wise, however, but honestly, taking a look at this new circle, it's going to be hard to enter in no matter which way you come from, besides the north. And funnily enough, it is HVVP on the north side in a great position to strike in more central. 1 million and Bacon Esports here getting into a little bit of an exchange. Shouldn't be a full-out fight as, yep, Shirty will fall back, thinking better and to keep that position.
Inko with 3 after losing a player early. The only player, actually, sorry, there's been 2 players to go down so far, with Jimmy getting caught earlier. But Inko losing one of the 2 players so far in this lobby. We're 12.5 minutes in almost, and we are down on 62 players. I feel like this is quite high for the games that we've been seeing so far. Normally by this point we've seen a couple more scraps, but teams are starting to feel each other out.
Fighting here is just so difficult. So many ridges and hillsides and dips and trenches. Not to mention, players can see how many players are left alive, and with bits still being 62, everybody's wary of getting third-partied here. So teams will play it slow. Also, there's no real point in fighting for a position because Circle's still quite rather huge, and any shift can change the dynamic of the entirety of the map. It's not like Erangel where if you claim this spot in Circle 3, you have nice options through the rest of the game. Here, you claim a spot, and if it shifts a certain way, you lose control of everything. So teams aren't committing to the full fight, but Evos will lose one. Lizer gets confirmed and finished to the side of Udo Alliance, and Microboy might go down here as well.
Yeah, a little bit split from the team. Very close to two squads. There's no way that Microboy survives there. Udo Alliance, though, will have to fend off against Fireflux on the southeast side. And I have to be worried about that Evil's third party as well, a little bit further up north. You don't think that they're going to go for this crash, but now the fight's starting to break out. Udo Alliance dismounted really, really fast there. Lutz flying back over the hillside to try and keep alive, to try and stay in this one after the nade is answered towards them, but 3 players up and standing. Udo Alliance down on 2, split up as well, making it only 1 to face off now. And Fireflux still going strong. Today, they have shown firepower, they have shown gumption, and they are continuing to do so on Miramar.
I almost want to say the way Fireflux is playing kind of reminds me of HVVP. The way they come in from the edge and they take their fights and they execute their pushes. I feel like this team is really starting to get into form here as the days continue. And I do believe in the last game they picked up quite a few eliminations as well, so they're becoming a heavy elimination-based team, controlling the edge of circle and just moving on in. And the next circle does shift, it goes further north. That makes it extremely difficult for everyone on the south now, because as you can see, it is all mountainous terrain upwards.
Time. Down over towards Damwon. Damwon didn't really have a massive impact in the first game today over in Erangel. Difficult push through Severny as they isolated themselves on the north side, but this time around it's a little bit different. I feel like they could have better time of it, but they can get this res, get back to their feet, they have a chance to keep moving through. Already picking up the knock onto Noise. Look at this Omegle coming through from Osal. So crucial, needs to stay alive but can't. Get spotted. It's a third party, and this is what you're talking about, Zute. With the number of players still alive in the lobby, these third parties are brutal, and Osal, a pivotal point in this offensive against the Bacon Time position. Damwon lose their outpost, lose their pivot player, and will not have a good time on this hillside.
I don't think I've ever seen a fight happen in Miramar in that spot specifically. That terrain is so interesting. Bacon Time has a nice ridgeline and flat side there to work with. Nova now trying to do what they can to stay alive. Order extremely separated from the rest of his team. And Paraboy is not king, is on the revive though. Jimmy, their IGL is already down, but you can bet he is shouting or at least communicating commands to the rest of the team on what to do. They get the revive, they manage to stay alive for now, but it's a very precarious situation that they find themselves in. Order's actually going in deeper. They're going to try and play something more center.
Pittsburgh Knights rolling up on Fireflux and actually doing okay. Nade under the feet of Coops. Does give it the old 180 and turns around. Else trying to move up with him as well. Xenox.
Forefront with Coops playing off one another, but the disengage comes through from Fireflux. Shots potentially from over the way on Order's front, but he's back into the vehicle, backing off, looking to potentially regroup towards the rest of Nova. Fireflux with 2, just want to stay alive, just want to survive.
Yeah, Fireflux got pushed out. They're going to be playing from the edge, like we've constantly been saying. They need to clear out their backside or at least be ready for a push from the back. And it did not seem like they were ready for the side of the Knights. And the Knights will take over their position, but they will have to further into the zone. Coops goes down to Solus. Solus putting in some nice shots here. Udo Alliance down to 1. Reaper Boy doing what he can to stay alive in the smoke, but he is getting peppered down.
Boss. Unfortunate time on this east side. The Damwon Bacon Time fight still yet to conclude as well, as Damwon are skirting under the hills. With the 2 eliminations that Bacon Time have now, they have jumped up just that little bit. We'll take that second place for now. Fireflux do spot Order. And Nova just haven't turned up today so far. They've been picked apart several times, and I feel like we saw it towards the end of yesterday as well. 8th place on the tables. This is not the Nova that we want to see.
Yeah, we see King going down for that revive, which they desperately need. But as King goes down for the revive, Paraboy gets knocked out on top. King is on constant revive duty here, and Order actually does bleed out. Now King's got to go back up for Paraboy. They do have the zone, but this is such ill timing. This just means teams are going to push right into them. King might have to just give that up and play as a solo. Here comes the push out of Donwan getting naded right in the face to start off.
And already down to 3 after losing their off angle. Really terrible start on this push. 4 down 1. Fabian falls. Forest is felled. And Song's the last to get cut down. A sliver of HP, and it is only a matter of seconds before Bacon Time eliminate the competition, take them down, and take their second spot with it. Look at that. Bacon Time looking to put their mark up on the board, and actually maybe looking to chase up towards HVVP. They're currently 10 points behind when you add on those elimination points.
I wonder how restless HVVP is getting here. They've just been chilling on the north every single zone with 4 people. I'm surprised they didn't spread out just a little bit to see if they could peek their heads out and get some shots in at some players. They will keep 4 strong, which all these teams have to worry about once the game progresses further. A fight breaking out in Cruz de Valle we see here. STE, Godlike Stalwarts on the low ground. Survive this circle, but the next one is going to be extremely difficult for them to go uphill.
HVVP, I feel like the ridgeline that they're playing on is quite sort of north to south, so it's difficult to create a lot of space for themselves. There's a lot of open ground around them as well. Maybe they feel they've got enough sight lines to essentially be that spread line of defense. Playing around several of those hills. On the south side, though, teams are a lot closer together. Power, coming off the back of the chicken dinner in the first game, take a nade from Alpha 7 over the top, and Carrillo might have just given themselves a door to move on through. Pittsburgh Knights as well, doing a little bit better. 3 eliminations so far, but they do have only 3 players remaining. Picking up Lazy Boy, though, opens up a lot of possibilities.
Yeah, the Knights need to decide which way they're going to push in, from the south or a little bit more toward the northeast, and that knock that you mentioned might just open it up for them, as 1 million taking a fight with Bacon Time up over the ridge. 1 goes down. It is not looking good for 1 million. The Knights are pushing, if you take a look at the minimap, onto this fight as well, so 1 million sandwiched, and their time is getting low.
They're not even just pushing onto this fight, they're moving in front of it towards the circle. They're controlling the edge ahead of it, and there's no way that these 2 teams can escape the fallout fight coming off the back of this engagement. Bacon Time will have to move into this engagement now. They've lost 1, and now they have to turn their attention to the Pittsburgh Knights, but it looks like it's going to start off well as Coops falls first. Tenser wants that res. Xenox now the only man in the action for the squad. Bacon Time playing on that forefront. Behind the smoke, Xenox could be brutal. Are they just going to try and skirt around the edges? Can he find this knock? We'll hear 2 of those vehicles start to spin up. Moves to the far side of the smoke where there's a player still on the swivel, and Bacon Time take their turn to Pepperpot in front. Xenox still in the smoke, gets felled down by Ices, and 2 players alive for the Pittsburgh Knights in their challenge to keep themselves going in this tournament, keep momentum. And 4 eliminations is good. Coops is back into the fray, and with it, we'll find Ice.
The Knights do have the advantage here. From that position, nades are more easily rained down in. 1 connects just slightly. They'll be able to get that revive onto Xenox, and Bacon Time down to 2. Circle has centered up once again. HVVP is about to spring into action sometime soon. You see them right there in the distance with all 4. All the util probably still unused, and the weapons. And great nade out of the side of the Knights. Now it's a 3v1 situation. They need to push over this and finish this fight quickly so they can move into the next zone.
Noise. Has he been spotted from the back, or is that shot's coming through from the top? I think he's safe for now. 3 players. Bacon Time last standing. This is a good engagement from the Pittsburgh Knights. I mean, it was difficult. They wanted to try and close it out fast. Off the third party. Okay, yeah, so it is HVVP actually taking shots over towards Noise. The shots from the back. HVVP, they've moved Kitsune all the way down south. They've moved from hilltop to hilltop next. You can see there's a low ground in between them, and they want to cross it. That forward outpost for Kitsune going to be very valuable for the next movements.
Inko here. Lost 1 player extremely early on, but they managed to keep the rest of the 3 alive and navigate this really difficult sequence of circle shifts. And we are in an area of the map that is not commonly played in any competitive matches. The Knights don't finish the push onto Bacon Time, but they spot a hard cover to play for, so they rather stay up as 3, as Donuts now coming into play against Vampire, and they are getting stuffed down.
Tixie does get spotted in the meantime out in the open. Vampire with Fluketh down. They are holding off their compound very, very effectively. On the south side of the circle, they should get that res. Missile disengages fully. Gets away from the fight, but there's so many more going on that you're not going to get out of the action that easily. Fireflux taking heavy punishment. Kitsune also spotted on the forefront. This is not good news for HVVP. They want to hold this central position. The one time they had to send center here, there was no position between them and the position they tried to move up towards. And they are losing a lot for it.
They just got to weather the storm. Just like in the previous match, Bacon Time centered up on front of everyone, threw down a lot of smokes, and ended up taking a top placement. HVVP hoping to do the same. Alpha 7 finally starting to show up coming into today, keeping 4 alive into the late game. We have not seen this out of Alpha 7 for quite some time. This could be a good chance for them to crack their way up to the top 3 as well.
HVVP have been trying to move all central for so long, but they've been taking knocks. Tixie got knocked on the north side, then tried to move south to regroup. Then Matic got knocked. They had to turn around and go back up north, so they're still on this 2-2 split right now. They do get rid of Fireflux on the south. They still have Noise to worry about on the north, but they're going to try and make this move at some point or other.
The resilience out of HVVP is just amazing. For a team to get knocked back and forth so many times, but continue to execute their plan and setting up these rotations through the hellfire that it is when they cross that field, that's some determination and resolve right there.
They are the Terminators of this lobby. They have shown resilience. They have shown power and strength that goes unmatched right now for pretty much anyone. Bacon Time, 8 eliminations. They have been doing a lot of work now, and in comes that regroup. Finally, HVVP can get back together.
What? I don't know what the Knights are kind of doing there. That buggy just drove right through, with the Knights only managing to fire off a couple shots at the very end. That should have been at least 1 knock there. But I do guess that HVVP do have sightlines in on those windows, and they could have easily gotten knocked. Oh, HVVP, they made it. They made it across, dead in the center, and just look at that mini map on the top right. There's 25 players still alive in this zone.
This is pretty much the only position in this circle that HVVP currently hold. There's probably some spots just on that ridge line. You can see near the I don't know how to describe it, but on the left-hand side, a little bit further on, there's that ridge that drops down away from the circles that potentially is playable, but all 3 of these teams are going to be looking to try and move into that area, and none of them can make that move just yet.
Yeah, not just yet. Engagements happening everywhere on the southwest, southeast. One of HVP's knocked, but they should get an easy revive here. Vampire looking to put some points up on the board now for themselves. They did get passed up by Power, but this is a good chance for them to jump right back up and take that 4th spot position with 4 players still alive.
For me, it's a question of how long can Bacon Time stay alive in this circle. Just Noise remaining. Fairly split. If the Pittsburgh Knights don't take care of him, if they go down a little bit earlier, it could be very, very difficult. But Godlike Stalwart moving in on this north side could also be a little bit of an arbiter. Inco try and move up and actually do a lot of damage to Alpha 7 on the south side. Oh, wow. They do get handled, but that takes the wind out of Alpha 7's sails.
Yeah, from inside the blue zone. Inco doing a good job there towards the very end, but no confirmation in points. Bacon Time finally taken out. Tensa forced to leave the shack, and all of Alpha 7 looking that way. That is not a cross that I think he can make, but Mythic stops watching to go back for a revive. There is a chance he could make it to some sort of hay bale as Vampire taking the full-out fight with Skylights, and Skylights actually gets an opening right there with the grenade.
They have a little bit more to go as well. 2 players down the bottom of the hill, just the 1 remains as Godlike Stalwart open up the cannons as well. Laying the blow, Vampire fall, and so do Skylights. Wow. Nobody gets out of that one. Now we're playing essentially to play for second, because at this stage, it's HVVP for me.
I'm surprised Star Wars have made it this far in, but Alpha 7 with 4 and 11 eliminations. Ooh. They have HVVP pinned in because Stalwart's on their backside, and they do have angles onto HVVP as well because we've seen Stalwarts get a few knocks onto the HVVP team, so HVVP at the mercy of both teams now.
Matic falling back, needs to pick up a med or two from Tixie, potentially. Looks fairly
Oh!
Brilliant nade, actually opens it all the way up. Mythic finding the door and flinging it almost off its hinges there. Over the top they go. Alpha 7 are going to need to take this opportunity. And so to Godlike Stalwart, they'll move up, but Kitsune's holding 1 versus 1. Now it's just Beku. Needs to hold off against the entirety of Alpha 7. Can he weather it? No. Alpha 7 dispatch HVVP off one of the strongest positions in this circle. They stay alive, and Alpha 7 from Brazil looking to go on a rampage, racking up those eliminations. Look at that, already surpassing 15. And now they want to put 2 more on the tally. Godlike Stalwart will face up against the full 4. Action spotted, position known. Wants to put a nade back in, and can they turn it around, get that double nade, get that double knock that were delivered over onto HVVP. The first is good. Can Pika follow it up?
If Pika gets this player on the left side, that crunches in on Alpha 7's defense. Nate falls a little bit short, though. Revo's going back for the revive. Carrillo just running around maintaining pressure. But that nade by Action could be good. So close, but did not get the knock.
Pika puts smokes up into the air. No more nades for Pika. Just smokes in the pocket. 3 of them to play with. 5 smokes for Action, so no more ordnance to try and even the numbers through those sightlines. Revo crests the ridge and finds Action. It's going to be dispatched, and Alpha 7 leverage the numbers. Brazil takes the chicken dinner.
Now we have Brazil back in the picture. We have so many teams in that mid-pack just, waiting for their one big game, and then all of a sudden they're in striking range of that top 3, and Alpha 7 finally got to see how much this means to them. They're a team that is usually always dominating, so for them to just be lingering around in the mid-pack, that's a lot of pressure that they finally managed to break through, and the celebration is there. That was also a very difficult game for anybody to make it towards the end game, except for HVVP, I'd say. I think HVVP got a rather easier time with those zones, but this was a huge chicken and a lot of eliminations for Alpha 7.
Absolutely, a huge number coming through, coming in at 17 eliminations at the end of the game.
17.
That's it's going to be huge for their points totals. That's a 32-point game. They started at 98. That's going to put them up at 130 points. The bubble at the start of this game was 134, so they have managed to chase that down. Something awful.
Wow, John, you are the first caster that can do numbers and math on the spot. That's impressive.
I mean, look, I got called out last week on Twitter for misstepping there. I won't go into it, but I did get called out last night. I did get some numbers wrong. Fortunately, I've made up for it since, and Alpha 7 making up for their early days performance with this big chicken dinner. They are back once again. Brazil are in the running.
Returned with a big chicken dinner here. 32 total points in Miramar. Man, I'm telling you, there's something about Alpha 7 and Miramar. It's like peanut butter and jelly, 7.
It definitely is, and I think it's finally time for me to say it. I didn't get a chance to say it last time they won in Miramar.
Okay.
To Brazil, getting those 17 eliminations. Dude, what a performance there. We also saw Carrillo being able to put up 1,000 damage. During the match, we're wondering where he's been but let's look at some of the other teams. Godlike Stalwart, 16 points for them. Vampire Esports, I think with that performance,
Ooh, I can't wait to see what that overall is going to be looking like later as we are getting a head-to-head between two Alpha 7 players.
Yeah, and you were talking about it. I mean, we see the insane damage coming out of Korea over there, but 7 elims out of Mythic, and what that boils down to is almost identical team contribution percentage, which is the most important part, because as long as the damage is happening and you're taking out the other teams around you, it's the teamwork that's the most important part of that entire equation. And honestly, they needed this, because prior to this match, they had just fallen onto the second page of the overall juice. That's not where A7 wants to be.
No, that is a place that when they see that, they're just like, no, this cannot be true. I think Mythic's my favorite player from Alpha 7, to be honest, because every single time we see his reaction, he's the hype man. You can tell, just always hype there at the end for the squad. And, I think this was a really great time for Alpha 7 to put up those points. Like you mentioned, they were on the second page here. HVVP seemed to just never go out past 5th place for some reason lately. Like, they just always find some points on the board, 7.
They definitely do, and I mean, we actually got to see a little bit of Knights there. I know you were wondering what's going on with that team. We got a little bit of flashes there. Maybe it'll be a turnaround. I mean, we do have Sandhawk with Madness coming up. We'll have to wait and see.
We'll see here in just a little bit, guys. We'll be right back right after this break.
Hola compañeros de Pubg Mobile, prepárense para experimentar los nuevos eventos que se vienen. Prepárense y únanse. Disfrutar el juego.
Just like that there. Oh, I mean, man. 2 games down. I'm your host, Hot Jukes, here with 7WG at Goal Enter Explosion one more time. We got 4 matches left to go, and then we got tomorrow, and then it's all over. Of course, I gotta give a big thank you to none other than our sponsor, Sony, with their Xperia 1.4 and Xperia Stream. They were actually made in collaboration with professional esports players. You guys can play PUBG Mobile in 90 hertz with Xperia Stream's cooling system and insane multiple ports and cooling system. Yeah, it's the best. It's the best, guys. Go check that out, of course. Okay, guys. So, man, I gotta ask you this, Glitter. What really surprised you there in the last match?
I think how calm all of the teams were. That was probably one of the longest Miramar matches that we were able to sit through and watch. It was super, super strategy based as we get to take a look at the overall ranking. This is one of the things that I wanted to see. The team I said could do it, 7. Bacon Time overtakes Dam 1 by 10 points. They are now in 2nd place. That's massive. And you can see some other shifts happening. Power dropping back down. Vampire Alpha 7 making a huge jump back up the leaderboard, and that's because these points are so close that any one good performance is going to change a lot.
Yeah, and you were talking about how in the previous overall ranking that we did, Alpha 7 was on this 2nd page, and now it's actually Nova over here in 10th place. Wow. Like, this is not unexpected at all. Luckily for them, I mean, with the previous performances that they have had, they kind of have a cushion there in regards to where Evo's Reborn is, but nobody would have expected Nova to be here. You can see 1 million there, getting that gap a little bit closer with Evo's Reborn. Same with Yudo Alliance. Donuts USG can still make a push toward Evos, and this is kind of what we were hinting at earlier, right? Evos needs to wake up, and hopefully he'll be here in Sandhawk coming up, because we know a lot of teams usually that aren't having one of the best days tend to use Sandhawk to kind of wake themselves up.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Sandhawk is the match to make it happen. Oh, so much going on here, guys. the 4 horror matches that we got here. We got to take a look at the top Sandhawk performers so far as we go into this one. No surprise here. HVVP always on the board. They seem to be on the top of all the stats, but hey, we also got a couple nice little players here as well, Glitter.
This is going to be a big match because HVVP still in first place, really comfortable, but we literally just highlighted how far down the overall rankings Nova has fallen. This is one of their best maps, so this is an opportunity for them to come back up at least onto the first page, get back in the conversation with right now, because this is not where they want to be. We'll talk about it eventually, but they are one of my teams to watch for that specific reason, because right now it's not the Nova we were hoping for.
Yep.
Hey, you know what? 7, you said it to me in the background, right? Could this be the first time that we will not see a Chinese team champion? Huh? 7?
Could
with
be.
the performances you've seen so far? Huh?
Oh boy.
Listen, you can see those teams to watch there. Glitter and I both have Nova. I mean Glitter. Now I'm just getting them confused there. You say you wanted to talk about Nova, so please take it away.
Well, it's the one opportunity, 7, right now with the way they've been playing, with the way things have just happened to unfold for them, that they could get some points to the board. It's one of their best maps. They have phenomenal stats on it. I mean, day 1 was the chicken dinner with 8 elims. Day 2 was the chicken dinner with 13 elims. Like, this is a strong map for Nova. They need it. Okay, they need it. And then I also had Knights on there, who I think you probably want to talk about too.
I want to see Paraboy.
Hey, well,
Okay, I want to see him pop off. I want to see the Lionel Messi of our game. Come on, where you at, Paraboy?
Hey, Coops, where you at too, man? Come on, it's Sandhawk time. Let's see it happen. Let's go ahead and take it on over to our casters.
We're heading over to a little bit of chaos in the jungle, I'm sure. Maybe we'll see Coops turn up. He has been turning up for the Pittsburgh Knights, even if the rest of the roster isn't in this scenario. That last game took them off the bottom of the tables, but 15th is barely better than 16th when it comes to pretty much anything at this stage. It's $1,000 more if you finish in 15th rather than 16th, but right now it needs more of a step up from this squad.
Definitely so, but I think at least from the last game we saw them being aggressive, right, at the very end, taking the fights, going for the eliminations. At the very end against Bacon Time, I feel like they could have taken like at least 10 more seconds to see if they could finish out that team before prioritizing that hard cover. That hard cover Shack was pretty much their only play, and they didn't want to lose that spot. But still, it's like just take a few more seconds really quickly to see if you could get that finish. That would have been 2 more confirmed points for them right there. But I think they're on the right path, and we are heading into the 3rd day. This is, I do believe, the 3rd game now for the day.
Yeah.
There's still enough time as long as they stick to what they're doing right now, you know, getting their confidence back and playing like the Knights that we've seen them play. It is not too late for them to make it into the survival stage.
We're still in the 1-game catapult scenario, right, for these low-placed teams, where one good game can catapult up those tables to a position of safety right now. The bubble is at 81 with EVOS Reborn. They will be playing at 81 points right now in 11th place. We're talking about the Pittsburgh Knights. They're 66 points on the board right now, which puts them 15 points behind that bubble. And that is absolutely achievable in a single game. It's achievable by coming even top 5, right? If you get a high elimination game, we've absolutely seen that happen. So any of those bottom teams still very much can escape from the bottom portion and get into that survival stage. And I'd say who else is in contest for the bottom spots? It's Nova. And that is not a sentence I thought I'd be saying this deep into the tournament. We're halfway through day 3, and Nova are in 10th place. This team is, for want of a better phrase, falling apart a little bit.
Yeah. Taking a look at the drops, the Knights changing up their drop spot a little bit. They usually take the trifecta area, but instead they're going to stretch out into Nova territory. And, this is such at a ill-conceived time, because I do think this is the first time that Nova's kind of stretching out from Painan as well. So even if both teams did their homework, they weren't expecting to run into one another. But the Knights, feeling like they need to change something up on Sandhawk. And I was going to say, before this match started, I kind of want to see the Knights drop back in boot camp. Because as far as the Americas go, right, that's what boot camp was Knights' spot every Sandhawk game. And the Knights were actually a very good team on Sandhawk. They would have very strong, consistent performances, but that's because they drop boot camp. Ever since they changed to this more of a split drop, just south of boot camp, they've struggled on Sandhawk. And if memory serves correctly, the other team from Americas that used to do the split that the Knights are doing now, which was XSET, or I think they rebranded to back-to-back, they never did well on Sandhawk with the split. So I think with there only being one Sandhawk game per day, right, go for the 4v4 in boot camp. At least you could secure some points if you win that fight. And we all know the Knights can fight, and then go from there.
I mean, Sandhawk is only a sixth of the games that you play, right? 1 in 6, one every day for 4 days. So yeah, I feel like you can be a little bit more
roll the dice.
Sometimes.
Yeah,
roll the dice. But let's talk about the circle, because it just popped northwest.
Yes.
It's now likely we're going to this northwest finish, and this is an HVVP speciality, right? They play at the top of the mountain. They play on a full 4-way split, taking position on each of the compass directions. The one vulnerability that we've seen from them over in the European stages of Western Europe and the European Championship is if a team moves in from the north early and tries to get ahead of them on that position. But if they get established there, it is very, very difficult to get rid of them.
Thank you for that, Nima.
Yes, I did feel like my retinas weren't burning enough. Thank you.
Yeah. But you're right. Though, I will have to say, this circle, I've seen so many times it not end up going to the northwest. There's just enough land on the east and south where the circle could pull back just a little bit away from the northwest, but then end up pulling completely away as the circles continue. Either way, though, this is a little, just for me, a little bit of a question mark on which island this is going to end at. But the trifecta compound area, where the Knights are now grouping up in with only 3 players, is a very strong position. However, Nova took down one player of the Knights. Nova knows the Knights usually drop around that spot, so there's probably a good chance that there's going to be a 3-man team of Nova at the bridge. So if Nova wants to take that away from them, they could do a 4v3 engagement there.
Fireflux still spread. Southeast point of boot camp, just scouting it out, information gathering. Seems fairly healthy on the loot. A level 1 vest for Lutz, but they can probably look to scout out at least level 2 on their future rotations. Nova have left a little bit of Painana. Will be moving west, as you say, on that bridge camp. Inko, go for a swim out on the west side.
Yeah, Inko's deciding to swim across the bridge. Pretty smart, as we do see Damwon not exactly camping the bridge, but set up there as Stalwarts going fishing right now for the team of Power. They already got 1 knock in the water, looking to get another one. I think Power should be able to stay alive as 3. They will lose that. I do believe they'll lose that player that's swimming knocked in the water right now. Conte's the closest for the revive, but Conte, the shallow parts of that stretch of water right there, so deadly. I don't know if Conte was aware that he was about to, leave the deep of the water and go on the shallow parts. Should have kept swimming. And actually, is that another knock onto Az's? Yeah, Az is also knocked. Wow.
They're only playing with 1. I mean, Power, they kicked off today really, really well, but it looks like the coordination into these next 2 games has not been the greatest. They do get caught off here, but you should be expecting this. You should expect teams to already be moving into a position to A, watch the cross, and B, go for the cross. So you will be challenged on these scenarios. They go for a swim on a wide part of the river, super open sight lines this early. You're going to get spotted.
Yeah, and I think STE's learning from that brutal first day mistake where they left boot camp a tad too early and they got punished themselves. So they leave just a little bit with a quicker step and they get the opportunity to punish another team swimming over just a little slow on their own side. Got the top healing stats here. Tixie actually with the most amount of heals, so he's been putting in the most amount of damage, but he's also receiving the most amount of damage back himself, but he's healing that right on up.
I'm telling you, Terminators, mate, they just keep on going. This is what we talk about. They are so hard to kill because they keep themselves safe. They fold back in. They're origami masters because the number of folds these guys are able to pull off, man, honestly. It's crazy. They got black belts.
Origami masters. Well, they're definitely masters of a lot of things here, as their play style done so well, so correctly, always keeping the backfill. And this is the one time we'll see them not play on the edge of zone. They are holding the tip top of that mountain with a huge split. So if it does go to the northwest like you expect it to go, they should be heavily rewarded for it. But we'll see how things play out as this circle is still closing in. We're about to head into the second circle shift.
The pop could be cruel. It could still very much go towards that confluence, but with this, it really does isolate that northwest island.
Yes.
So HVVP's position needs to start to be consolidated now. They need to make sure they are firmly in control of it before someone else can move in and play silly buggers on the top of the mountain.
Yeah. I do see it's potentially shifting a little bit to the east and it going off that mountaintop, which does make it quite difficult for teams playing up there to do anything towards the late game, because they just hold up there, maybe pick up a few eliminations from long sight lines, but then they're forced to hop off and not much they could do at that point. Nova with a very good rotation, dead center of zone right there, right below the mountaintop, and Bacon Time getting some punishment now, losing 3 of their players already. Bacon Time down to the side of Damwon Gaming.
Exactly. Damwon Gaming, crucially, that second place position taken away in the last game with a heavy frag performance coming through from Bacon Time, and Damwon seem angry. They're cutting off this rotation, and Bacon Time lose 3 of their players. 3 points to Damwon. Bacon Time's point scoring ability severely diminished, and they won't be able to hold this bridge either. Damwon going to be charging in on the back, moving across. Nobody else to hold this bridge.
No. Vampire Esports on the other side, on the northern bridge, also catching some rotators out. And honestly, taking a look at all the bridge camping action, I think Inco had the right idea. They went for that swim, like you mentioned, very early on, and they just swam across to the northwestern island. I guess you got to be prepared for everything at this level of the competition.
You certainly need to be keeping an eye out. Every option available to you as well. Keep in mind for all of these players. I mean, it's very easy to go like, oh, we need to go north, let's go over the bridge, right? But there are so many other options. You can grab a boat, you can swing wide, you can go for a swim, you can walk across the shallow parts in the confluence. But there's, there's several options, and making sure that you're aware of each of them, their values, their merits, their downsides, is very, very important. It looks like Inco weighed and measured it all, and probably picked the right decision in the end to not go over that bridge.
Skylight's now going over the bridge as Damwon has already decided to cross it, and they are getting shot up by the side of Udo Alliance, but Damwon Gaming should be okay. They're on the high ground, out of the lines of sight of HVVP, most importantly. And Udo Alliance on the low ground here. Fabian, I don't know if his position is known, but he should be waiting to spring into action once Damwon get 1 or 2 knocks onto the Udo Alliance side.
Matic has the outpost on the northwest side for HVVP. Might have spotted Shirty moving into the buildings there. Inco as well, a little bit further on the way. The watcher over this fight right now is Kitsune. As he's on the top side, should hear these gunshots down to the south.
He won't be able to get
silence. Not onto Skylights. They'll hear the shots, sure, but they might not be able to see it.
Yeah. Oh, here's that replay. Oh, brutal.
Oh, there's the catch. I mean, they laid it wait.
Yep. Damwon Gaming playing that extremely well. Not only are they just bridge camping per se, they're also clearing out their backside, essentially, by waiting there. And it looks like both teams have moved up. And here's that shift I was talking about. Pulls to the east. Now HVVP, right? nobody's going to really be able to push up there to take them out because it's such a strong position. But how much can they capitalize from up there as far as elimination points go? Because it's so difficult to get confirmations when you're that high up. The sight lines are difficult to finish off players. And then eventually, if you lose a zone with 4 players up there, all you can do is, if they have a vehicle, drive on down. But otherwise, you need to think about what to do next.
There's a couple of directions you can drive down, and it depends, I guess, on how many teams they're able to corral into their front cone or to move away from their back, because that will open up options in terms of those vehicle rotations late. You can try and just jump off the cliff towards the Nova compound right now, but it probably wouldn't be the best idea. That's the compound just under the cliff to the east side of the top of the mountain, currently held by Nova. You can also jump down into the valley. And if you move early enough, there's potential to go down the slopes on the north or the south side as well.
I hope they have a vehicle and they just drive it off the cliff right on top of Nova's compound.
Cooking nades out the window, just unleashing them so they land in an explosion.
Yeah, but I mean, this is a great spot for Nova now. Nova really needs some, circle favoring their way to get back up near the top 3. Nova ends up winning this game potentially. They're once again in contention for the top 3. Order did go down, but did get revived. It looks like Udo Alliance going for... I don't think they could go for a push onto Nova, because that is if memory serves correctly, yeah, they're going to be in wide sightlines. There's no way they're going to be able to crack this one open.
Yeah, they lose one. King picks up the flush. Nova probably in one of the most valuable spots right now in the circle. This is very important for them, this game as well. They need to prove once more that they are one of the best teams. This is a team that I imagine everybody would have had on their list of top 3 in this lobby going into this week's games. But right now they are suffering, and so they need to put a good score up on the card. Paraboy should be resable here. It was only a knock, but it did come through from the Udo Alliance, losing Repo Boy, but there was that answer.
I feel like if Udo Alliance still had 4 off of that next knock, they might just 4-man push it and just have their, sightlines pre-aimed on all the windows. Respect to Udo Alliance for making, the decision like, hey, this is the only move we got left to make. We may as well go for it. Skylights Gaming taking that Valley of Death. You see one of the HVV players right over the top, so they will know it's occupied. Maybe get a cheeky no-toss nade and drop it all the way down in there. But Tixie seeing what he can do here, and like I said, still 0 eliminations, but they could see everyone and everything. It's just hard to confirm the points.
It's nice information as well when they hear that the players in the valley shooting. They know there's only 2 directions they can be taking shots at, so they'll have more information as to who's playing where and what is going on. I can read into that a little bit. Solke down on the front position, a nice cook on the nade. Takes a lot of Solke's health bar away. You shouldn't need to put a second one in to confirm that. Just suppress the back lines and keep them away from it. HVVP starting to leverage their position with the circle shrinking as it does.
HVVP pick up 1 elimination onto Udo Alliance, and I think that's because Udo Alliance actually decided to go back up the hill, knowing Nova's defense is just too strong, especially going down that pathway. The new circle has shifted. It went further east once again, so HVVP will have to come off the mountaintop eventually. And here comes some full send rotation, last-ditch efforts. Can't blame them. Damwon Gaming down to 2 with the DBS, however, they could break open this northern compound. Jimmy holds strong, however, with Paraboy. Up to 5 eliminations. This is looking like it's going to be a big game for the Nova side.
I mean, for me, Damwon brought the attention to the DBS back in PWI. That's where I was sort of first fully, I suppose, acquainted with it. And they did really do it a lot on Sandhawk, but this time around it's not going to work out for them. I feel like it did break into the meta quite significantly. Keeping at least 1 DBS in hand can be very valuable towards those late game scenarios.
Oh yeah, the shotgun meta has resounded across the entirety of the world. I know in the Americas people were running shotguns as their secondary so often. Yeah, the shotguns have really come into fold, and I feel like it's actually the Japan region that really started to pioneer it. At least it was very popular in the Japan region. But anyways, shotgun or no shotgun, the long-range M4 still reigns supreme as shots raining out everywhere. I really want to see what HVVP is going to do here. They definitely have this planned out. They have some type of move they want to execute given this type of scenario.
Pittsburgh Knights taking shots over towards Fireflux. This is on the south side. Fireflux outside of the zone right now. EVOS are there as well. Pittsburgh Knights guarding out 2 rosters. Really good news for them if they're able to pick up those eliminations. But with Tensa taking a knee, they need to try and invest in these reses. Try and stay as 3 alive. On the north edge, Inco still suppressing this bridge. Fortunately, it's all still in the circle. See what they can do to move on through as we hop back over to the Pittsburgh Knights. Tensa enveloped by the blue, needs to get ahead of it. Into the vehicle, wants to send forwards, get some healing done. Coops not going to take a lick of damage from Microboy, who's sending the bullets wide time and time again. And Coops stays calm, nails the shots, and EVOS down. 13th place, 2 eliminations.
The movement out of Coops, dodging every bullet that rained his way. New zone pops up right here. HVVP, I think they could maybe stay, like one person could stay one more time. Jimmy full sending it down to the top of the Vampire team, and he is
dead.
Yeah,
what was that?
There's no way that they did not hear shots from on top of that mountaintop. And there's also no way you can assume that there's no team up there. This position's always taken, especially at this stage in the game. I'm not sure what that was at all, but Nova lose a player, which is actually crucial. If they 4-man set that for the push to take this position, it would have been good, but Vampire get a free point, and they will continue to get more points onto the side of Inco as Inco trying to move out in the open. Becker goes down.
This is so valuable for Vampire right now. HVVP, they're on the opposing cliff face. They're going to have to figure out how to crash on in. I imagine they might try and sneak in and backstab Vampire if they swing around on the north side, but Kitsune got knocked on the north, so that scout going to be dispatched a little bit. If Inco go down, though, that side opens up completely differently. Not only that, you've got Skylights Gaming playing in the trench to worry about. 1 million on the east side, doing a lot of work over towards the Pittsburgh Knights. Will be able to fend them off, take them down fully. South side, it's Nova. Still yet to make their move, but Lutz is there, and he's going to make it harder. King has no clue.
Oh, just take the shot.
Lutz? Lutz? Okay, there he is. King, gonna go down, not gonna be able to pick that one back up. There is a first aid there. Paraboy, though, just lines up the shot, finds it. 2 players remaining, and again, it's Paraboy and Order. Order actually managed to make the crash over towards the central mountain.
Well, that's good for Order. He spotted out, though, nade in hand. I don't think Order can survive that much longer. Inco getting shot still from Vampire Esports, and I hope HVP has a vehicle right there. They could launch that vehicle down. I hope we get to see that. There's no way there's just 3 up there all on foot, but either way, HVVP, how many eliminations have they picked up so far? Only 1. Yeah, so very difficult to pick up points there from on top of that position. We're down to 8 teams, 25 remaining.
It is literally just Nerebete, though, that is suppressing this position. Skylights Gaming going to leave from underneath and try and get a little bit further into the zone.
Oh, they do have a vehicle.
Okay, Ravenclaw do have the sightline. They're going to jump into the vehicle, and down they go. Skylights move, and they fall down the hillside. Tixie, I think he might have just jumped down and hoped for that res, because they are there. They can just go for it. They didn't want to all commit to the vehicle at the same time. Order, in the meantime, will have spotted that, and Nova can move in and potentially play spoiler to it.
Man, surprised Nova made that crossing. If only they kept Jimmy up alive. That play is going to just be on my mind. That is so uncharacteristic of the Nova team. But HVVP, they had a plan in mind. And oh yeah, Nova is about to fight HVVP just as Star Wars Esports making their move on to 1 million.
Godlike Sword moving in, action down, Scry getting pushed in by the blue. Top is close by to Marshall, and Senke trying to lie in wait. Meku, in the meantime, as we hop back over, is going to be down for HVVP. Just Matic now active, as Tixie did get knocked and flushed by the duo from Nova. 10 eliminations coming up from Godlike Stalwart. I didn't even notice that they were racking up that many. Paraboy's cooking the nade in the meantime, wants to drop it down, plays towards the back of the rock, and Matic falls. It is going to be HVVP down and out in one of probably their worst performances, points total-wise, of the tournament so far. Godlike Stalwart, they have got 10 eliminations, but they will go no further. They are drawn short, and 1 million stay alive with 1.
Man, we just had so many teams go out. Yeah, Star Wars Esports picking up 10 eliminations throughout all that fighting. Very good job by them. Nova's still alive with 2, and they're in a good spot. They will have to take a 2v4 against Vampire to get further into this new zone. They will be able to work in from the high ground. It's going to be a difficult fight, though. 1 million still alive on the low ground. And Alpha 7, once again, making it into the late game with 3.
Vampire are there in this dominant position. 8 eliminations and more soon to come, I'm sure. But you're right, Alpha 7 still waiting in the wings for their time to shine if they can have it. Order, nade sent his way. Needs to be careful. Won't get knocked just yet. Fades the damage for now. Ravenclaw takes one back and actually taken very low. Can Paraboy spot that angle? Order took about half health on that nade, but did get away from the majority of it. 3 nades left. Skylights Gaming gets lit up. Then Vente, the lone player from Inco, moving forwards to the tree, manages to make the dash, gets a little bit closer to the zone, but Vampire is spotting this out as well, and that will be the elimination sent over their way. Vampire with 4, Alpha 7 trying to make that cross. Paraboy traded off against the 2 players from Alpha 7 fall. It's just Carrillo left. Can any of the other teams stand up to Vampire right now up the top? They are just going to fall on down. Stone moves in. Ravenclaw drops out, almost goes down fully. Order able to flush it out. Stone rides out of the blue as well. And it's just Carrillo for Alpha 7 to be the last player standing against the Vampire high ground. Drop down for Schweppes. Takes a lot of damage. It actually gives a little bit of an opportunity to swing wide. The blue zone's there.
Oh.
Tick. Just managed to get that first aid. Flukas with a nade from the top rope, though. Bounces it. It's a little bit high. It doesn't drop down.
Oh.
It's not going to happen, though. It looked a little bit shaky there. I thought there was an opening, but Vampire cinched it back shut.
Oh, it did look a little bit shaky, especially with that MG3 in hand for Carrillo. That nade bounce, that missed. If it knocked the player up top and then he just gunned down the next player that was charging him, there was a chance. There was a chance for a 1v4, but Vampire will secure a chicken dinner, and that is another big chicken dinner. We had Alpha 7, secure the last one, which shot them up in contention now for the top 3. But for Vampire Esports, this does bring them up right up into the top 3 now.
They should be in second place with Down one going down a lot earlier. Bacon Time not making an appearance late into these zones. They got a huge number of eliminations once again. You can see that really starting to add up. 13 eliminations on the game for Vampire Esports, putting them at 28 points on the entirety of proceedings over in Sandhawk. It did look a little bit flustered towards the end, though. There were about 3 or 4 missteps. I questioned the drop downs taking a lot of damage, although to be fair, you're playing against one player. You kind of feel you can go for those trades.
Yeah, I feel like there was a chance, potentially even for Nova, to win that, but they got traded out of Alpha 7. If Nova managed to keep 2 alive with players dropping down on top of them, it might have been a Nova game. But Vampire, they ultimately get that chicken dinner for themselves.
I think with HVVP's totals a little bit lower on that game. I mean, I think they went out with 6th, 7th, something like that. 8th, actually it was, with one elimination point coming through. That should put Vampire Esports, I think, within 10 points at least of HVVP in top spot. This is great to see coming through from the roster that showed up so much in PMWI. They had a dip in days 1 and 2, but third day they are riding in strong, and they want that top spot.
Looks like we saw some vampires fly once again as they get the chicken dinner here in this Sandhawk match. Looks like we'll actually have an interview with him here in just a little bit, so I'm looking forward to that as well. Nova, hey, third place, did put up 19 points. I'm going to agree with Zute, though. I really thought Carrillo could have had it there at the end, but Vampire just said, no, we're going to shut that down real quick, 7.
Yeah, they play that. Vampire played that so well, and also he had the blue zone right up on its butt. So I don't really think Rio, as much as we've seen him clutch up in our region, I don't think it would have been possible. Nova, though, I mean, waking up 19 points. This is kind of what we were hinting at earlier, Glitter.
They just love some Sandhawk, okay? It's a map that they're clearly very comfortable on. But Vampire, and now this is after we talked about them at the top of the show. They increased their performance yesterday dramatically. Now we've got a Sandhawk chicken dinner as we look at the top performers from that map. And surprise, surprise, 3 out of the 4 are from Vampire. But we got to give a little bit of love to top as well for the number 1 highest damage, tied for highest elims. I mean, and we actually didn't really get a chance to highlight Godlike Stalwart, but that's another huge win for them to get a player in the top performers as well.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, the big surprise for me, though, is looking at the bottom of that leaderboard there. You know, you see Bacon Time, Power Esports, bust out a goose egg. That's got to hurt right there, especially after having a really good performance in the mask match. But you know what? Hopefully they could shake that off here and come back. But you know what? I think that's the really big difference, Seven, as you see them compared to a team like HVVP, who just constantly puts up points on the board. Seems like no matter what the situation is. And yeah, hopefully we'll see those teams pop on back here as we take a look at the recap here in a bit, Seven.
Yeah, I mean, with HVVP, we've just seen it over and over again. They are very hard to eliminate. You saw John Allen being able to allude to that as well. And, I mean, they're willing to take risks, too. Usually, Jukes, let me ask you this. When have you actually seen a squad decide to jump off? Like, squads usually don't even try to do that. Even if they know that they might be able to pick each other up, that's not a risk some squads are willing to take. And HVVP is one of those squads that they are willing to take that risk, as we are seeing the recap here.
Yeah, you know, Kitsune, I think as the IGL there, I think he's really instilled a ton of confidence into his team to kind of just play the game almost like it's a regular PUBG mobile match. You know, they just see the situation and they say, hey, let's just send it and commit. And when you're in first place, yeah, you are allowed to take a little bit more risks. But the fact that they're even willing to make those plays without any hesitation is what I think is really setting them apart from the rest. But, you know, as far as them being so troubled to just get out of the game, right? Always survive with a couple players. What do you really think that is, Seven? Like, what do you think is separating them from these other squads?
They're just being able to clutch up, man. I think that's literally what it comes down to. We've been able to see it over and over again. They hit those.
We talk about that a lot, though. Clutch factor is actually a very real factor when it comes to this game, whether that's on an individual or on a team that just plays better under pressure. Sometimes that's what makes or breaks an entire performance for a team in the league.
Well, it looks like we are ready for an interview coming up with Vampire Esports. This is one team I'm definitely looking forward to hear from, so why don't we go ahead and take it on over to Choo Choo.
Thank you, panelists and casters. We're back here live on ground in Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia. With me here, we have one of the best teams out there, definitely in the top 5. None other than the coach himself from Vampire Esports, Sir Tanny. Thank you for having you. Thank you for joining us today. Welcome. And right now, we have 2 questions for you. It's going to be an easy one. So the first one, what do you think of your team form and performance today?
คิดว่าการเล่นของทีมวันนี้เป็นยังไงบ้างคะเมื่อเปรียบเทียบกับวันที่ผ่านมาก็สำหรับวันนี้นะครับก็ถือว่าโอเคก็ถือว่าเล่นได้ดีนะครับผมเพราะว่าเราเปลี่ยนแปลงเรื่องของแผนการเล่นมาเยอะพอสมควรจนตอนนี้มาเข้าสู่วันที่3แล้วเนี่ยมันเริ่มที่จะเข้ารูปเข้ารอยมากขึ้นนะครับผมแล้วก็ตอนนี้ถ้าพูดถึงกราฟการเล่นเนี่ยฟอร์มก็เริ่มทยอยดีขึ้นเรื่อยๆครับยังมีมาตรฐานของการได้แต้มเป็นปกติอยู่ For his team, form compared with the previous day, they said like it's more improved, and they changed like some tactic for the teams. But by the way, his team is getting better and better.
They are never not better for Vampire Esports, honestly. Now, the second question is going to be, who do you think will be the most troublesome for you? Which team do you clash most often in the game?
คิดว่าทีมไหนที่เราแบบเผชิญหน้าด้วยมากที่สุดคะแล้วก็คิดว่าทำไม
ก็หลักๆแล้วที่ยังมีก็จะเป็น PK ของสหรัฐอเมริกานะครับผมแต่ว่าเราได้ปรับเปลี่ยนแผนการเล่นใหม่ก็คือเราเลือกที่จะย้ายแผนการเล่นทำให้ส่วนทีมอื่นทำให้การเล่นเนี่ยเราก็ไม่เลือกที่จะ เลี่ยงเพราะในเมื่อเรามีโอกาสลุ้นที่จะขึ้นหัวตารางใช่ไหมครับส่วนทีมอื่นๆก็เป็นปลายครับเพราะว่าแต่ละทีมก็มีการเปลี่ยนแผนการเล่นแบบทุกวันอยู่แล้วมันเลยทำให้เราไม่สามารถแบบเจาะจงได้ว่าทีมไหนจะมาเจอเราได้บ้างซะส่วนใหญ่ครับ
So for his team, thinking that the most clash is PK from United States. Anyways, the other teams also the good, but he think it doesn't matter because they change every day plan.
Okay, PK. So you got yourself a contender here. But anything else you want to say? Yes, Tenny, the coach himself.
Nothing to say much. Just let's see in the game.
See you in the game, and Vampire, Susu. Let's get back to the casters. Thank you, guys.
Yeah, that's what I love to see right there, man. Vampire Esports. You know, I love what you said, so kind of the background, right? I mean, what kind of, we're talking about like teams as far as like opposing what is really like what is really opposing them right now when they're owning so much, right? Well, of course, I'm gonna give a big thank you to our sponsor, official hotel sponsor here for the PMGC, and that is Pullman Kuala Lumpur Bangsar. Our world is your playground. And, you know, speaking of playground, you know, the battleground, everyone's having fun right now. But I think a lot of these teams at the bottom are sweating real hard. I think it's time we take a look here at the overall rankings, Glitter, and see what changes have been made and what stands out to you.
Whoa.
Vampire?
Okay,
A little bit?
Yeah. You said playground. I was going to say, did you see the Vampire players in the background having fun because they were at least having a blast during that interview? And now they're up in second place, so you know they are going to be feeling good. That is a massive jump up for Vampire Esports, but then followed by Alpha 7 with another huge jump up the leaderboard. There's too many things to talk about here. I mean, we saw Bacon drop down, Damwon drop down, Nova make their way up, and now we're on the second page 7, and there's so many things happening, I can't keep track of it all.
Talk about the 7th page. We've been hyping it up this whole time. 1 million finally passes Evil's Reborn. Evil's Reborn has not been able to wake up at all today. Now there is a 2-point lead there for 1 million. Inco Gaming too. I mean, steady.
Out of the last place.
Able to climb up. And this is what I'm saying. Like, some of those teams at the bottom, even though they might not have the best performances so far up until today, if they're just able to turn it around a little bit more and just outperform those teams at the top, which it should be kind of easy with the way some of them are performing, they might be able to make it to that 11th place. That 11th place is going to be super, super tight.
Oh, yeah, I think that's the most contended spot for it right now. Obviously, you want to make it to top 3. You want those golden tickets to the big show. But, you know, getting in at least top 12 is going to be something. Top 12, right? You got to be able to get into here. Speaking of top, let's take a look at y'all's top teams to watch here for this Airgale match. Seeing a lot of similar things here. I see 1 million. Okay, why did y'all guys both go for the 1 million pick?
Glitter?
Listen,
Glitter?
like you said, at the overall 7, they just jumped above EVOS, which is why EVOS is also in my teams to watch, because now these two, they have to battle it out to maintain their spot in that top 11 if they want to be making it through to the survival stage. It's about to be a fight. We're now on the second half of the day, so there's not a lot of time left. I'm keeping my eyes on both of those teams.
And I'm going to be keeping an eye on Alpha 7 and Vampire Esports, because now, I mean, we see what Vampire Esports is looking like on the overall. The winners of PMWI, we were wondering if they were going to be able to do this with some of the other teams showing up here in PMGC. So far, they're starting to prove that they belong here. And then Alpha 7, we even talked about this during the match too. We said how Alpha 7 usually tends to start really hot and they kind of fade away. It feels like it's the complete opposite here. It feels like Alpha 7 is starting to come to its own here on the 3rd day.
Well, let's see if that trend is going to continue on as we're going into the next match of Erangel. Let's take it on over to John Allen and Sute.
Match number 4 on the day. We're going to be getting into the thick of it, of course. Vampire taking a big chicken dinner there, setting themselves up in a 3-point gap between them and HVVP. I know, mind-blowing. No one would have expected it. But HVVP, they lose that mountainside to a north push. That is their vulnerability. They did go down, take the L there.
Yeah, and man, things are starting to heat up even more. That insurmountable lead that HVVP had early on in the tournament, like you said, only 3 points difference now. And I think HVVP, they seem pretty confident in the interviews yesterday and today. But now, I feel like they're starting to feel just a little bit of pressure on them.
Certainly could be. Need to tidy up any mistakes, any little openings that are being found, because those are going to be exploited. People will be downloading their gameplay, being able to adapt to it, you'd hope. Vampire seemingly the ones to do so. The thing about Vampire for me is that it feels like they always have one really solid rotation into a pretty good spot, and then unless they get circle luck, it kind of doesn't go their way. This time around, their rotation was from north to that mountain, and then they won the game, right? That was their one rotation, and it paid off. So whilst it's phenomenal in terms of point scoring, I question their ability to stay the course on this one.
Okay, that's fair. But essentially, sometimes, it is all about just getting that one big rotation. And I mean, we're pretty far into this week. And for you to be second place overall at this level of competition, it can't just only be the one rotation circle luck, right? Vampire are still playing very well and very, executing things properly when given the chance. I think that's the most important thing. You sometimes can take that gamble, make that one big rotation, but we see a lot of teams do that, and then they fall apart because they just, slip up. They don't have their sightlines checked. They don't, prepare for the correct things. You can almost argue, HVVP should have had a big game on that Sandhawk one. They had full control of the, northwestern island, and I feel like they didn't have a backup plan in place for when that circle shifts off of them to the east. And I think even in the very second circle, it was very telling because I mentioned it. I wonder if HVVP has a plan in mind if it goes east off that mountaintop, because we see it so many times in these competitive matches too, where that scenario plays out exactly like it did last game.
Well, fortunately, there's only one Sandhawk a day, and fortunately, only one of those so far has gone to that northwestern island and done an east shift. So maybe they'll be able to take that one back. This is, again, a novel circle, I'd say, for us here in this group, in Group Green. It's the so-called Group of Death, with the amount of power being displayed. So far, Alpha 7, we're on board with them at the moment, dropping out late and over towards Mansion Split, Lipovka as well, that sort of area near prison over on the eastern side. But with the circle down southwest, they will have to go through a lot to be able to get there.
I'm glad to see Alpha 7 in the top 3 as well right now. And, we do have a substitute. King substitute out for Frozen. Now, this Nova team has always changed out their fourth player from time to time, constantly. I watched the PEL quite a lot, and King is, switched out for Frozen, switched out for QC sometimes, just time and time again. But ultimately, it has always been King to be able to perform when it comes to the PMGC stage. I think most of the fans are more familiar with King, but with Nova struggling, I say struggling, but they're still very close. But I think for the Nova side, they feel like a change has to be made, and, Frozen is now put in.
Maybe a needed change as well, because 7th on the tables, it's not bad, it would seem safe, but it's not Nova, right? This is the team over at PEL, as you were saying, second in their regional clash. And it's, quite frankly, not good enough yet. I mean, they have really started to unravel a little bit over the last day or so, and I want so much more from them. It's, you come into this tournament and they are in everybody's top 3 picks, right? You're choosing from this lobby. There is no choice other than Nova when you're looking at the stats at the start of this.
That's the first pick that probably everyone makes. What's your top 3? It's there's a lot, but I would throw Nova up there. That's probably everyone's first top pick.
I'm going to start out with Nova, keep it cool.
Yeah, but I mean, they have just the time and time again proven us, either right or wrong if you pick them, but they've proven themselves, always being able to finish near the top, not just in PMGC, in their own tournaments as well. So we'll see if this substitute does anything big for the Nova team. This circle, I will say, is a really good one for Nova to start out in. They loot Gaka, and they have prime pickings of any central spot in this first circle. So we'll see if they have a better chance at this game. I will say that last game on Sandhawk, they could have done a lot better if it were not for that strange rotation out of Jimmy.
Yeah, they might have had a little bit better of a chance. I mean, you highlighted it as well. Maybe if they've just gone for a 4-player full send, even if they did go straight at Vampire's position, they might have been able to take that challenge. But if they'd have just gone to where Order and Paraboy did later on, they might have just been able to roll over that hill. It was, questionable from Jimmy to be kind about it, frankly, but maybe they can pick that one back up. Vampire, they also get a good position in this next circle as well. They'll be playing with their backs to the water. If they keep that position under control, they will be sort of preventing those backfills and move in with a strong rotation.
Another team that we really want to look at is Bacon Time, of course, dropped down in 4th place. They're going to be coming in from the far east and Milta Power. So they will have to play more of an edge style, or, I mean, with it being air and go, they could make one very strong rotation early on. Alpha 7, on the other hand, taking a look at the map, they are located just north of Bacon Time in Lipovka. So both of these teams, the 3rd and 4th place team, quite far away from this very first initial circle.
That one moving in. This is from the northeast side, and they're actually moving through a couple of the compounds just to the northwest of Pachinki, moving in towards the chopsticks now, over in the Gakka fields. So they have encroached on that Nova territory.
Inko rotating in as well. We're about 6 minutes in. This is when all the rotations typically start happening, unless your team name is HVVP, in which case you just wait and play the edge. We got Power here. Now, Power, they won the first match of the day, and they were all of a sudden, weren't they like 3rd or 4th after the first game?
They were pretty high up on the overall rankings for sure, comparatively.
Maybe 4th.
At the end of yesterday, I'm going to have to go through back. I'll go back.
I'll take a look. I'll take a look right now. Yeah.
You take a look. You figure that one out. Down one, they managed to establish a 2-2 split on the northeast side of Gakka. Actually, it's going to be able to control the Donuts USG rotation. Will force them into potentially an unfavorable spot. They'll have to readjust, go for a ridgeline somewhere. Pittsburgh Knights a little bit further south of this location should hear this gunfire. Might try and move towards a chopstick, but Nova currently also operating with a 2-2 split, playing chopstick, and down southwest of it as well. Inko managed to get on in fairly. Is this central? I think this is fairly central as well. I think they're lost in the midst of all of these dots on the map for us, but we're still waiting on a couple of teams to make that big move. Godlike Stalwart, southeast side, out the blue in 2 in Novo, 1 on the bridge, 1 a little bit further west of Farm. Bacon Time as well, still holding in Milta Power, stretched out towards Milta.
Yeah, they're going to decide to play it slower. HVP actually making a deeper rotation than we're used to seeing out of this team. And yeah, Power, after the very first game with that big chicken, were in 4th place. But you can see how quickly you go from 4th all the way down to 8th because the point bubble is so small right in that area. HVP taking the Wizard Tower. Very strong position, taking it right underneath the nose of Nova. But Nova, of course, playing split. They are forced to give up these spots the second they are contested for.
Jimmy did manage to get away with that one, luckily for the team. A really strong IGL, good decision maker, but it seems like a couple of times he's been caught out over the last few games. He's led Nova to victory before, though, and I'm sure he can rally it yet again. The roster has staying power.
Oh my.
That is a brutal shift. All the way down southwest. Vampire, though, they are chilling. They are happy about this.
Yeah, I don't know. Holding a split in that area can get rather difficult. I mean, they are definitely more happy than not, but I would like to see them group up just a little bit. Maybe everyone play on top of Corey or play in one of the compounds off of it. But here comes the mad dash of rotations with that extreme hardship to the southwest.
Marshall locking tires a little bit, but does manage to get out of it. will not be too much of an issue. Heading down to the compounds on the west coast, sorry. I mean, getting across that road, you might be fairly safe for a little bit, but likely you're going to have to recross it, and it's going to be a lot harder later on. So positions like the one that Vampire hold around Quarry is going to be super, super valuable. Look at the sightlines they're able to execute on.
They are going to continue to hold this 2-2. 2 on top of Quarry, 2 on top of this hill. I think for this second circle, they could pull it off. But the third one might get a little bit more difficult to hold this split. They are within sightlines of one another, though, so they do have support fire if one side were to be pushed. So it is looking good for them. Meanwhile, Bacon Time, Stalwarts, a lot of teams still not in this new zone with such a hard shift. And you see HVVP trying to make their way further into the center, no longer just playing on the edge and keeping their backfield cleared.
These western rotates for them, they dash down, they move through, and actually uncharacteristically fast, as you say, down towards that south side. They've left probably about 4 teams behind them, which is, again, uncharacteristic. They like to stop those backfills, but with these double hard shifts down southwest, you kind of need to change it up a little bit.
Yeah. I almost want to say they're not... You might not be as comfortable playing this type of circle. Or maybe they do have a very specific plan and we're seeing it out here now. But I'm feeling like if I had to pick any game where I'm the most unsure of how HVVP would do, it would have to be this one.
And they got a power. Pings a shot over towards Fireflux and lands a knock. But that's all they are at this stage, knocks. Not really going to be able to make anything stick. Again, we're playing this ranged spike out positions. No one really going to be able to pick up full flushes and let you catch someone on a rotate, which Skylights Gaming actually might be by 1 million, who've gone for a pretty wide spread over on that west coast.
A huge 2-2 split by 1 million, taking the compounds on the north and the south of the western side. They are going to manage to hold it as they're not getting fully contested. Still have 64 players alive, and look at this minimap, and it centers right on top of the Quarry position. Inko dead set in the middle. Vampire looking like they will start to group up a little bit here. Yeah, as the 2 players on the south will group up with the rest on top of Quarry, which is more central of this new zone.
I mean, you said it right. They could hold it probably during phase 2. They are going to move in for phase 3, try and play more as a unit. Their timing seemingly pretty solid on this. Nova moving in from the eastern side, want to take control of quite a lot of ground on that east side as well. HVVP are there as well, however, and that will make things a little bit more tricky. On the south side, you've got Godlike Stalwart moving in past Ferry Pier, and all the way actually still in Primorsk, you've got Evos over in 12th place on the overall tables. Going to be playing very quiet this game.
There's a chance we might not see anyone go down in this circle either. Coming into the 3rd zone, not a single casualty. The Knights and Bacon Time on the northeast are not in zone, however. The closest side of the circle they could play in would be against HVVP, in which case they're going to have to be clearing their backfield against 2 teams than the typical 1 that we usually see them have to contest with. And here's the Knights pushing in from the north, and Bacon Time pushes in. They'll be pushing in from the southern defense side of HVVP.
Isis gets spotted, sprayed back by Tixie. Do the Pittsburgh Knights take this opportunity to try and move in on this position? No one going down just yet. In the meantime, with down 1, Edo Alliance really not going to be allowed anywhere near these buildings. Down 1 holding with 4 on the northwestern side. A really solid compound with sightlines over the swamps, over those wetlands. Edo Alliance trying to play some ridges nearby. Really is going to give them the heebie-jeebies to try and move over to those buildings.
One knock goes down. Xenox is knocked by USG Donuts, actually. That must be a very long distance knock.
Yeah, about 400 meters, that.
Yeah, with the mini 14 great shots out of Donuts. And yeah, there is Xenox indeed. Went for maybe the... Oh, he went for the crates. Oh, I mean, he's recoverable. Drive a vehicle down there for cover, throw down a smoke. I mean, zone is closing in. But I think the Knights should go for that revive, maybe.
I mean, it'll be very important, but they won't be allowed to there. Xenox does get flushed out on that northeast side. Coops gets spotted. And their star player is a casualty here to Matic. They lose it, go down to 2, flushed out. All of a sudden, that north side looking much safer for HVVP.
Yeah, Knights just getting picked apart once again. Looking kind of scary for them now to try and make it into the survival stage as we are nearing the end of day number 3. 2 versus 4 against HVVP probably is not going to work out for the Knights. And that zone shift pulls further to the west. Now Nova, who had a nice split, is going to have to make some sort of rotation. Tensa gets Matic, but quickly gets traded back right there. Spec forced to play inside the blue just because it's too dangerous to be in the sightlines of HVVP.
With blue zone soon to move as well. Matic really in danger of going down here. HVVP would be great if they could stay playing as 4. I think Matic has the info on where Spec is. Meku trying to roll on in and try and get the rundown. He wants the challenge at range. He's got to swing it around with a buggy, and that should be the clobber. Won't actually find the full knock there. Spec's still going. It's still active in the fight, but Matic is going to be saved. However, there's only 16 seconds left before the zone moves. No eliminations for the Pittsburgh Knights. 0 points on the game, going down in 16th places. Nova look to regroup under the hills underneath Vampire. Bacon Time have the same idea. They want to try and hold this position, but look, Schweppes is just going to put that nade in and do so much damage. Nova ripped apart there. Excellent nade coming in from Schweppes. Nicely timed as well. No one looking out his way, and there is no answer up towards Vampire, who hold a massive overlook on this next circle.
That nade was deadly. I would think Frozen or Paraboy had some sort of sightlines to cover that. Schweppes was wide out in the open when he primed that grenade, but maybe timing-wise it just did not work out. Now Nova will be down to 2. The tournament, I wouldn't say tournament lives on the line just because they will maybe possibly make it into the survival stage. But man, we were expecting a top 3 finish out of Nova at the very least, and it is slowly starting to pull away from them as HVVP, I question them, looking a little shaky on this one, but they are up to 4 eliminations and looking okay for now, but they have a 4-man team of Vampire now overlooking the top of them.
HVVP on the south side of it have managed to do okay, but Ravenclaw has another nade. Kitsune's repositioning. Looks like he might not have a heal. Kitsune's actually got like Stalwart taking shots from the south. Real troublesome. Might be very hard to get that one back up as well. Sune, yeah, completely out in the open to them. That's unfortunate on the south.
Can't blame HVVP though. I think it was almost a better idea to just try and have one across. There's no point in putting 4 in the shack. So they will lose a player, but a necessary risk to be taken. Alpha 7 on their warpath. Power though, stopping down Carrillo. That should be a revive. I would like to see Power get a little bit more aggressive here off that knock, because this is a committed fight out of Alpha 7 regardless. And here's that push. Getting close, but getting knocked, or not knocked back, but the damage answering back not in his favor.
Nade though over the top could be good, a little bit long. It goes too far. Difficult to land those nades on that sort of a cliff face. Needs to be perfectly cooked, otherwise you're just not going to find it. Might be able to airburst it nearby, but tricky nade, certainly. Not going to be landed by Power this time around. And Alpha 7 back to full force.
Alpha 7, depending on the next circle shift, might just engage in this fight. They do have 1 elimination, and I do think it is on the side of Power, so they know it's a 4v3. And with this new circle, might take a second to see if they have any info on where they could play next and then decide to engage this, depending on how comfortable they feel with this new circle shift. But Power, they're going to disengage fully. They are going to run away. They know this is Alpha 7, one of the strongest hitting teams, and they have been on the up so far.
Hopping over to the west side now. 2 teams did manage to take up occupation on the west side of this road, but most likely they're both going to have to cross back over. 1 Million have been able to stay out of it, as have Skylights Gaming, but now they're going to have to fight off against one another to get to that ridge line that is on the other side of the road and try and move forwards with it. Fortunately for Skylights Gaming, they still have an outpost on that side.
Heading back to the east here, Vampire. The team that just picked up the massive chicken dinner in the previous game, looking like they're in a strong position. They still have that high ground to work with for 1 more zone. And back to Vampire. Oh, yeah, back to Vampire here. And Power, they run away from Alpha 7, but they run into another deadly team. That of Vampire and Power are just getting picked apart.
Alpha 7 are not out of the hot water either. They're going to have to run forwards, moving into the back of Inco. Can they find these fights? Can they get these good crashes? Eliminations going through, actually seemingly back and forth between Alpha 7 and Inco on their crash, on their engagement. Power still just getting shredded, torn apart. Alpha 7 seemingly winning out in this engagement as Inco starting to crumble. Carrillo, the only player to go down, and all of a sudden, Inco, one player remaining. He's not into this engagement, can't get any reses. Inco on one player left alive.
Now, when Alpha 7's hot, they are hot. HVVP taking this chance that Vampire is a little bit preoccupied with the other team to move out of their shack, and HVVP has managed to move out of the shack successfully, but not fully yet into the next zone. Alpha 7 now fighting with Damwon. Damwon answering the aggression of Alpha 7 right back. One knock, and Damwon's looking to maybe close it out. Thinks better of it. Goes for that one molly and then backs off without another knock. So these two teams will go into a stalemate for now and maybe decide to share until the next circle shift.
Damwon, they were in that top 3 club, right? They've experienced that high life, but the bouncers chucked them out and they've had that velvet rope closed in their face. They want to just burst straight back on through it. Take Alpha 7 to task. HVVP down to 2 players now, as Maku still embroiled in a pretty tricky and sticky spot. Tixi did manage to get further south, but that's very close to Godlike Stalwart. That is dangerous.
I know about
Vampire, just like last game, on top of the mountainside, raining down hellfire, continuing to do it here. Next circle should go off of them. And in my opinion, whoever's controlling the hillside on the south or west is going to come out on top. We have Star Wars, Evos, and Skylights Gaming out on the edges on these hilltops, the more dominant position that overlooks the entire playing field with a good amount of circle left to play from in the next circle.
Next circle will be popping any second now. It goes southeast towards Godlike Stalwart. Keeps Fireflux in it as well.
Alpha 7, Damwon Gaming. This will have to be a fight to the death. Neither team has a good spot to play in next. Both teams have 4. Both teams have been winning their exchanges as well. So we should see a fight here. Bacon Time surviving in that shack. Still in zone. And Vampire Esports, they have 4. They don't have to go for that shack. They could maybe swing down south and take a fight with Star Wars. But we'll see as soon as we figure out what happens between Damwon Gaming and Alpha 7. And it's going to be the full-out push.
With Maku going down, it is just Tixi left for HVVP. As you're right, this full push comes through from Damwon. Alpha 7 losing players. They are being stripped down here. Mafioso, the next to go. Now just one remains. The LMG in hand, sure. Maku spotted Pika, takes him down. Revo now, last bastion for Alpha 7 playing from the basement.
Oh, he gets 2.
One on the cut down, gets 2, but he will be overwhelmed by the remaining players from Damwon. 2 players to get these reses. Alpha 7 are eliminated. Vampire having to go for this push. I don't think they know that Tixi's here. Managing to get across like this for Tixi, really, really important to stay safe, all the more so. If Vampire don't go in, he isn't going to get spotted. And I don't think they can make this aggressive push.
How is Tixi? Oh, nope.
That was Fireflux.
Yeah, from downrange. Oh, man, that would have been insane if he managed to survive that. Vampire is still alive after, weathering the storm of 4 players of Star Wars Esports looking at them. Stone is going to go down to Schweppes, down to a 2-man team. Bacon Time's still alive. And here's that fight for the hillside that I was talking about earlier. And USG driving in through the midst of everyone with the nade flying in. And then he flies over into the arms of Fireflux. What is going on over here, John?
Living up to the name. He's a missile. Is it a bird? Is it a plane? No, it's Donuts USG. Taking a tumble and losing a whole host of their players as well. Unfortunate on that hillside for them. Not able to get any of those rundowns. Evos getting cut apart here as Skylights Gaming are standing up again. We see them actually in the late circles a couple of times over today, but Bacon Time gonna fall as well. Skylights! Did he just 1v3?
Yeah, he just 1v3 that.
Goodness me. On that side of the circle, it's gonna be brutal. On the west. And now Fireflux are going to look to lay down the law. Damwon are coming apart at the seams. This is great for Vampire as well. They were 3 points behind HVVP at the start of this game. Zute, I feel like they can take this top spot for the first time in a long time. We might not see the 4 letters of terror at the top of the tables.
Potentially not. Vampire. They're down to 2, and I think Star Wars has given up focusing them. Star Wars is now preoccupied with the rest of the map with all that action going on. Nope. They still have 2 members looking over at them, and it's now just down to Fluke spraying through the smoke, maybe trying to get some lucky connections in. All he's got to do is stay alive, and actually Fireflux is going to help out with that, knocking down and finishing one of Star Wars right there on the top. Action going down and flushed out.
Fireflux will have to make their move. Becca's been solo for quite a long time for Inco.
Yeah.
Survival points could be crucial. I mean, look at how close the bottom of the tables are right now. 83 with 5 eliminations is the current bubble, but EVOS are still in this, unfortunately, from that stellar play coming through from Lyzerg and Lapa. They were able to stay alive, pick up a lot of points, and move that bubble higher, but Inco want to challenge it.
Fireflux, their only 4-man team. There's a chance they could win this one. And if they do, we're going to have another team getting a chicken that puts themselves up there in that top 3 contention. Just back-to-back chicken dinners for all of these teams in the middle of the pack. They got to be careful and take out the EVOS player, though, because Lyzerg is now on their flank side if they don't fully clear it, and that could spell trouble, and that could lead to Star Wars third-partying that fight.
How far could Damwon go as well? Because with 8 eliminations, they draw level with Alpha 7's game start point. With the 4 eliminations that Alpha 7 were able to get, 4 points ahead, those placements should make up that difference. So everything they do from now on should be profit. Vampire getting eliminated there. Fluke does go down. With it, we're down to 5 teams today.
Down to 5. Star Wars holds the top of the hill, but only with 3. EVOS. Par. Might get a backstab in, which would be great for the Fireflux team. Meanwhile, Damwon Gaming still alive. They took out Bacon Time from the Shack?
I mean, they must have done.
Yeah, no, Damwon Gaming came from the north on foot with Star Wars and Bacon Time looking. How did Damwon Gaming get this far? The resilience, wow.
They've had 8 eliminations on the game, so they have been through it.
Yeah.
Top 5 placement as well. Damwon might be able to leapfrog back into that top 3 of this performance with Alpha 7 going down. The question is, how far can they get in there? With HVVP falling as well, I think Vampire might have been able to take that top spot. We'll have to wait and see on the overalls. Peppering back and forth. No dramatic pushes coming through.
Not just yet. With the way the zones shrink so little, it is a prolonged gunfight. No super hard pushes, and especially with so many teams left alive, it's going to be a grind. Becker's still alive. Becker could... with Damwon going down here, Becker could actually have a way in here. 2 of Damwon down, all down to Fabian. And we still have 2 members of Fireflux left in play. May even get the revive onto Solus. And there's still that 1 player out of EVOS looking to maybe backstab onto godlike Star Wars.
There's a nade up in the air. Fabian spotted and Damwon drawn short there. Looks like they might have a little bit of a run on the cards, but 5th place 8 elims is still very good news for them. Trying to jump up. Godlike Stalwart up to 10 elims though. Playing with 3 players.
Oh, the play's up. The play's up. Okay.
Christ, somehow gets away with that. Jumps down the hill and actually takes a solid spot in this circle.
Yeah. Evo's still alive. He left just in time before Lapar can get some shots in. And I think Lutz doesn't know Evos is up there. He's probably nading that area thinking Star Wars is still a full-man team up on the top. Star Wars has moved down, and they're still wary of the south side looking downhill. It's a 3v1v3. Both 3-man teams probably thinks it's a 3v4, though.
Might cause a little bit of a lack of aggression, as the next circle will close fully. At the moment, Godlike Stalwart have the inside track.
Bloodpore has been playing this so slow and patient. He's going to continue to do so. Cutting right down the middle in between both teams. Gets spotted though, and now it's a 3v3.
Taken down. So now both teams are aware of the 3v3 situation, so it could change the dynamic a little bit. The pressure is on Fireflux though, and they will move in. The buggy is going to swing down low. They want to try and establish a little bit of an off angle, make sure that they have those crossfires. Moves forwards, bold, and knocks the top. Oh, he takes one down, goes for another as well. He's getting greedy. Is he going to get taken down? No, finally pulled out of the buggy, but it is traded off 1-for-1. The confirm flash is there, and Solus is slowed down just a little bit. Can Ketch put that pressure in? Can he capitalize on the chaos from the buggy play? Ketch hits the deck, doesn't go down, rather crucially allows Solus to get a little bit of health back on board, but the nades start to come back in from godlike Stalwart, playing as 2. 2 versus 2 now. Molotov behind the tree should force Solus to move and slow things down behind that smoke. It's actually onto Ketch's position on the tree. He dips around it low, and Scribe falls to Ketch standing up. Will hit the deck in the fire, might burn away. Can he hold on to it?
Oh my god.
Will just fade the final tech, and not going to get spotted. There it is. Around the side. Hang on a minute. It's godlike Stalwart to just about eke out the edge angle, swinging out wide. The buggy, it looked pretty good. It looked nice from Fireflux from the top, but just at the end, the micro Uzi around the edge was just too much to bear.
Oh, that swing out. He swung right behind his teammate and caught the stray bullets. Oh, Ketch, so clutch there. Surviving the molly, getting the knock, but it was not enough, and it's actually going to be godlike Stalwarts with the big chicken that they needed. Hey, if it was Fireflux that won or Star Wars that won, both of these teams needed this win to once again shoot up in contention for that top 3. And I think Fireflux got enough points to still shoot their way up. That's the second place finish with a lot of eliminations.
Well, hang on a minute, because godlike Stalwart, they were on 135 points. No one might have done enough to get up into the top 3, sure, but they were only 3 points ahead of godlike Stalwart. So off the back of this chicken dinner, it might be a godlike Stalwart in the top 3. Not only that, Vampire might have taken that top spot away from HVVP.
The leaderboards are shifting. I think that just must mean Alpha 7? Alpha 7 drops down a little bit for sure. But man, John, these games, can't have them any other way. I absolutely love the action that's been playing.
In the group of death, things are all still on the earthquake. There is no certainty to be had. Stalwart, though, solidify a chicken dinner.
Starting to heat up here with some insane gameplay towards the end. Godlike Stalwart bust out the chicken dinner. 29 points on the board for them in Fireflux Esports. Man, that last play with the buggy, I don't know what was going on, but I love it. I love it, Glitter.
Listen, this game, like John was just saying, could have changed up a lot when it comes to our overall rankings. I mean, phenomenal performance out of godlike Stalwart. Fireflux, I feel like, has kind of been just putting in work all day quietly and chipping away at all of the points above them. Evos, though, trying to come back. They don't want to be outside that top 11-7. And as we take a look at the top performers, we get a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I'm seeing top. I'm seeing Pika, especially there at the end. He was able to clutch up against Fireflux and being able to win that game. That's going to be massive for them. And as John was hinting, I'm pretty sure that's going to put them actually in top 3. You see Lutz there for Fireflux. This is another team that was currently... If we were to end it, they would have been going to survival stage. They don't want to do that. This is why this is the group of death. One game can change it all, and I cannot wait until we see that overall ranking.
Oh, God.
It's just been jumping down like a dang rabbit every single game. People going up, people been going down. Power Esports had another goose egg this game, so they really got to be feeling that pressure for them. But God likes solid work. Fireflux, these squads have really been feeling good. Great games here towards the end, and at the same time, personally too, we always talk about y'all's teams to watch. All right.
Yep.
I'm going to have to switch it for myself for a player to watch.
Ooh, okay.
And I'm going to be calling out Spec at this point, okay? Spec, where are you at this Pmgc, bro? Come on, my man. I know you had, at the start of the day, it was like, 2 eliminations? That's the player I really, really want to see step up here for the Knights. But let's go ahead and send it off to a quick break, and we'll talk about that when we come back.
Hola compañeros de Pubg Mobile, prepárense para experimentar los nuevos eventos que se vienen. Prepárense y únanse. Disfrutad del juego.
And we are back. Of course, before we get back into those topics, we're going to give a big thank you to our sponsors, and that's going to be Sony. I got to remind you, of course, that Sony's Xperia 1.4 and Xperia Stream were created in collaboration with professional esports players, as well as you can play PUBG Mobile in 90 hertz with Xperia Streams, multiple cooling devices, multiple ports, and intensive gaming and streaming. Also, we have the overall rankings coming up soon. Okay? We talked about it. It's coming. I'm ready for it. Let's see the changes that we have here. And Vampire Esports have taken first place, and they are tied. But since they have more chicken dinners, they move up and take that first place spot. 7, how you feel about it?
This is what the group of death is all about, all right? The difference between first place and third place, it's just 3 points. And then if you go down a little bit more, Damwon Kia, 152, Alpha 7. All of these teams are in contention. I would even say Nova could definitely turn it around here in the next 2 games, and they might be able to just close that gap that's currently between Fireflux and themselves. Now, when we go to the second page, the Evo pass. Oh, wow. Okay, Evo did pass it, and they jumped up by a lot, too. Glitter being able to create at least a small gap for themselves.
Oh, okay. You know what I'm getting out of this? That the survival stage from the teams that will end up in the survival stage from this particular group are going to be terrifying. Because now the battle for top 3 is not as set in stone as we thought it was. Jukes, these last 2 matches are going to mean a lot.
Oh, so much for the teams at the top, for the teams at the bottom, and I think that's going to change the dynamic of this tournament right now going forward. Because the teams at the top, especially if we see one really start getting a lead or one in third place, those are going to have really huge targets on their back. And I guarantee you, these top Miramar performers, they are going to be some of the ones doing the hunting, and a couple are going to be the hunted. You know who I'm talking about yourself.
Yeah, I'm going to be looking actually at number 2. Number 2 needs to wake up, and the reason why I'm also mentioning is because in that last game, I actually saw a bit of a change on the roster. You saw Frozen being able to come in and to replace King. I wonder if this is something that they're testing out because of how the overall ranking is currently looking for them is not looking favorable. I wonder if they're going to continue to make those changes or just go back to the core roster. And can they take advantage, Glitter, of Miramar coming up and then being usually one of the better teams out of Miramar?
I mean, I hope so. I think it's going to be really tough. What's even crazier is the fact that a lot of the teams that are the top performers on Miramar are the teams in the top right now, and they're just kind of fighting against each other. So if they want to do well, they need to take each other out in order to get some of those points, which is even scarier. But we have the teams to watch down below, and I think we're kind of on the same wavelength again. Yeah. I'm looking at some teams at the bottom and some teams that are fighting to get into the top 3. Inco been picking it up a lot, even if they're heavy on those placement points right now. They've actually started to leapfrog some people.
They definitely are, and then I'm going to be looking at Evos. I mean, Evos being able to pass 1 million again and creating a bit of a gap. I hope they don't become complacent, which we have seen pretty much the whole day, right up into 1 million actually pass them. And I think that kind of sparked them, that kind of woke them up. So hopefully they can continue to improve on their gameplay and just maintain that gap that they currently have.
Yeah. Well, I guarantee you every single one of these players are wide awake here because we got 2 more matches left to go. These points are more necessary than ever. Let's get ready for this next match and let's take it on over to Zute and John Allen.
It is so close now in the top 3. At the end of day 3 as well, it's likely that we're going to isolate probably about 5 to 7 teams to be contenders for those top 3 spots. And it looks like we might already be starting to do that. But which teams they will be and in which order they fall is still anybody's guess.
That's crazy that we're isolating 5 to 7 teams in the group of death. And I think I was saying this earlier to you, I think this just goes to show in this group of death just how equal all of these teams are to one another. I mean, right now we have a chicken dinner tiebreaker in first place. And then after that, we drop down 2 placements. It's only 3 points away, not to mention 4th through onwards. It's still anyone's chance to get into the top 3 for that front page.
Absolutely is. Not only the top 3, top 1, right?
Yeah.
It's incredibly close, right? Because
top 3 is top
basically
1.
The top. Yeah, exactly, right? 167 to 164 in 3rd place. Nova currently sat in 8th place on 126. If it was anyone other than Nova at this stage, I would be starting to count them out. But it is Nova. And we know what they are capable of if they set their mind to it. The question is, can they recover from this little dip?
Yeah, we will see. Heading into the second to last game of the day. We're back on Miramar. Playing path couldn't be any nicer for everybody starting out in this Miramar match. So far, almost every single game of Miramar, we've had a circle start up and pop off in a spot that we have not seen yet throughout this week. Just earlier, we saw Alpha 7 get a huge chicken dinner with a circle ending around the T of Tierra Bronca. That's way far in the northeast. Maybe this time around we'll get another circle somewhere that's not usually played.
Does split quite nicely though on the playing path, so as you say, we'll have to wait a little bit for that circle to pop. Just keeping an eye out for any hot drops, any adjustments. Vampire all the way down on the south coast could swing all the way to Puerto Paraíso or Impala should they choose to. They could also just trash loot on that south side. Should be enough available there. No parachutes near them either, so they should be a little bit confident in grabbing vehicles, getting a little bit mobile with it.
Vampire Esports down in the south doing some scrap looting. And yep, this is a circle we have not yet seen. Far up, just right in the northern side in the home territory of HVVP. La Cabrera, Crater Fields, and a little bit of the water treatment area in this very first circle.
We saw a little bit more of a left-leaning circle before on this northwest side, but it was centered towards Crater Fields, right? So it is, as you say, a lot more dramatically leaning towards La Copraria for HVVP. This is good news for them. I mean, well, to be fair, yeah,
every time
news for them?
Every time they've gotten the circle, it's like they've struggled a little bit more than we're used to seeing. And to be honest with you, getting the circle doesn't always make things easier. There's a lot of times where you have the circle, you get so many options to play with that it's hard to decide what to do. Whereas when you lose the circle, it's like, okay, we're going to come in from this side, from this angle, and we're coming in from the edge. We can isolate a 4v4. We've practiced this push multiple times before, and once we take this spot over, we have our options for the next circle shift, wherever it might go. Whereas if you get the circle, it's like, I guess we just kind of sit and wait, and then let all these teams get closer and closer and cut off our options. And then we're kind of almost at the mercy of getting blessed for the next zone. So getting the circle is not as easy as it always seems. Oh, this is HVVP we're talking about. They should be able to do everything in the playbook regardless of the situation.
They should be, right? They should be being the crucial part of that sentence. I mean, normally the general set play from La Copraria, even on northwestern circles, is send one player down south to the hills that sort of overlook the surrounding area. But even that right now, it's a little bit deep cut into the circle. With how far north this circle is, they would be playing on a close side of the circle and allowing a lot of teams to backfill them.
Yeah, and there definitely will be teams looping around to the hard north because, like you said, the northern edge of the circle is off the map. So this will actually, motivate some teams to loop even further north just because there's a chance they might be thinking, hey, the circle might shift north, and if we're there first, we're going to get it. And I don't see HVVP going further up north to try and clear out the backfills this time around because that area of the map, there's no strong positions with strong sightlines to push people away.
Look at this page. It's almost all Alpha 7. Fluke having a little bit of a showing there for Vampire, but goodness me, I mean, Alpha 7, even day one, Imperium was saying it, Miramar, they're just incredible.
Yeah, Alpha 7's popped off today with how many eliminations they've been getting. And yeah, it's almost all Alpha 7 doing a little bit of parkour here, continuing to lose. And this is a good circle for Alpha 7.
Cool.
They could rotate in from the northeastern side, like straight cut in, figure out wherever they want to go. We see the Knights doing a very early rotation, sub 5 minutes. I think the Knights are starting to realize they've been really lacking on their rotations. I mean, if you think about it, they get Pachinki and Picado. That means they have basically max prioritization over most zones multiple times over, but they're in last place. So I think it's like they're not utilizing their rotation well enough.
You can't be doing that. Certainly not this deep into the tournament. Inco did move up north quite early, near towards Beku, the outpost for HVVP, and HVVP are staying up north. They are not going to branch out south. They want to hold the grounds to the east of La Copraria for now. Alpha 7, Torre Hamada, in the northeast side of things. They're probably in the position that HVVP wishes they were in right now, to be honest. Alpha 7 in a solid spot. Really difficult to backfill them as well. Nobody can come in from that north side. You've got pretty much only, I would say, maybe like 120 degrees in front of you that you're going to be worried about players being in. And that is a really easy cone to manage.
Nova, one of the teams we really want to look at. Always known for their rotations. This is definitely a type of circle. If the rotation gods out of Nova can pull out something amazing, it would be in a circle like this. Very hard to navigate because of all the high hill positions that control so many sightlines. Pretty much after this first circle rotation, every rotation afterwards, you're going to come under fire of some sort of team on some high mountaintop. And Nova already running into the likes of Inco, trying to get further into the zone.
Inco moved fairly early on this one. Nova maybe not expecting that. It seems like that's been the story a couple of times, just not expecting teams to be in positions that they are. I feel like a lot of players are really sending central quite early in these lobbies. Nova may be drawn short by that. Having those edge teams to shine. HVVP might come into conflict with Alpha 7 as Alpha 7 leave that Torre Hamada position and move north through that oasis on the north side.
We have Damwon Gaming on the southwestern side. We have 3 teams on the southwest. Skylights Gaming, 1 million, and Damwon Gaming. Looks like these 3 teams will be committed to coming into this zone on the western hemisphere. Meanwhile, in the center of zone, Star Wars Esports, controlling one of the mountaintops that I was talking about, holding a nice 1-2-1 split. See how long they can hold this down. Right now it is only circle 1, so teams playing a bit more spread apart is viable.
Especially on Miramar as well. You've got a lot of positions where you're just going to hold ground, you're just going to lay claim to territory. See what you can find there. Western side, Skylights Gaming close to Damwon Kia on the west. 1 million a little bit further ahead up north. Over on the eastern side, in the meantime, this is just to the west of Al Azhar, south of Cruz de Valle. Udo Alliance sending up on the eastern edge. Udo Alliance, a team again not been on the best of form over the course of this tournament. 72, one of the teams competing to try and get out of that bubble. 11th place currently sits at 98, so they're 26 points behind now, and it will be difficult to close that gap when you're performing at this sort of a level. It is still very much within that catapult range, which is what I was talking about. What have you spotted?
Circle.
Oh yeah. Right, yes, that's quite dramatic, isn't it?
Yes.
It's still off the north side of the map, Zute. We've got a La Cobreria finish, north of La Cobreria.
I don't even know what that area of the map looks like.
How many of these players have played this area before? I mean, HVVP, and I think I'm going to stop the list there.
They know La Cabrera, but I don't think HVVP knows what the northwest of La Cabrera is. And I'm looking at the mini-map. It looks like a giant mountain. I don't even know what's playable there. Can even go all the way up there. In my competitive experience, I've not played up here once, ever.
We're going to a lot of undiscovered territory here on Miramar.
Oh, yeah.
Today, especially. It's really going to test these teams' knowledge.
This is... Okay, well, I mean, you can see it on the screen.
Yeah, look at that.
It doesn't look very playable. I'm at a loss of words.
Yeah, Damwon trying to swing in on the north side. They're probably going to play on the back of that. I think they can play on the back of that stack on the northwestern side. So they should be looking for to control a passage there. That could be a really strong position for Damwon, actually, in their location. If they can utilize that, it looks like 1 million going to be playing on the eastern side, potentially going to be coming into conflict with Damwon around that. HVVP, I think they're playing off of it right now on the north side of the Cobreria. Alpha 7 going to crunch in from that eastern side. This is going to be a little bit of madness. I don't think we're going to be able to predict what happens here, but Bacon Time losing a player early. Tixie able to spot it. They are in the shadow of, I think, another smaller stack now.
Yeah, Bacon Time will not be able to get any deeper. I'm looking at this right now. It's like I've not seen...
Oh, this is difficult, Tixie.
I've not seen this area of the map ever. But HVP definitely have the advantage here. It's Bacon Time getting whittled down. 6th place overall. They will lose another player out of Bacon bomb style.
I thought it was just Tixie taking that fight, but then in come Kitsune Omeka on the bottom of my screen. All right.
Yeah. Okay, well, Bacon Time down to 2, and I think they're going to have to eject out of there. They luckily don't have any teams on their backside, so they can retreat without running into a different team. So Bacon Time will survive for at least one more circle with their 2 players. But okay, so I guess you can play on top of this ridge. So we see HVVP up here. But how much higher can you go? I'm not too sure. And here's the mini-map. I want another northern shift, please. Don't go back down to the south.
That'd be too boring. I mean, I'll take it. I'll take it, right?
If it was Northwest, that would have been lovely. That would be... Yeah. I have no idea what's going to happen.
I don't know if the observers can hear, but if we could pan over the HVVP position on an overflight, that would be incredible to just get a lay of the land around that northwestern area, around Glenrock. EVOS fighting off against U2 Alliance. EVOS definitely have the numbers advantage, and U2 Alliance, well, in this... Actually, hang on a minute. No, they don't. Not in this scenario. These are both the backstops of the teams.
Yeah.
To go for a little bit of a scrap.
Quick little 1v1. EVOS comes out on top. Now, with this new circle, I think everyone is more familiar with this area of the zone, for sure. Not quite common, but it does happen. Some very strong compounds left in play that is still open. Damwon Gaming pulling up. Fabian taking down a player of the power team. Quick 1v1 win for them. Damwon Gaming will continue to try and fight their way up into the top 3.
Playing on that north side, they swung through the gully on the north end of things. They will be playing from that north side downwards. Fabian obviously rolling up and just demolishing Aziz from power. HVVP looks like they want to regroup a little bit. Still playing a little bit of a 2-2 split at this stage, but no team's really going to be able to push in on their back because of that hard terrain that's there. Down One was the only team really in that area, and they've already moved away from it. So again, HVVP could be playing with some strength here. Vampire on diametrically the opposite side of the circle, in a little bit of a corner that's kind of cut off with the road here, Zute.
Yeah. Quite some interesting positioning dynamics starting to play out here in this zone. One player of 1 million, very close. Senke completely separated from the rest of this squad. I doubt it's intentional. They're playing a 1-1-1 split. But each player at a different... Yeah, 1-2-1. Each player, each section at a different compound. So they might actually be intending to play this 1-2-1 split this late in the game.
I wonder if Lazy Boy's going to take that fight or if he's going to wait for more players to roll up. He has no idea. That is, that is such a snaky position for Lazy Boy to hold. I mean, I feel for Dixie. He's got to be mad after that one.
Rightly so. And, Kitsune almost going down there. And the problem is, HVV, they can't even just go back to isolate that one player because the circle is about to shift and they do hold a strong position. So that split by 1 million, paying off, getting at least 1 elimination points, and they still have their options covered. And as we take a look at the overall map view here, gives us a much better idea of what's about to happen. Nova in a good spot to control the east, but it shifts west into, I don't even know what Nova's going to have to do here, but just a lot of hard compounds left in play and maybe some ridges that I'm not too familiar, just east of HVVP, that teams might be able to hunker down in and survive.
See, here's the flip side of the 1 million 1-2-1 split, right? They pick up a point, but they lose potential point scoring value because they're so much more vulnerable on those eastern flanks. I mean, they get a pickup. Hang on a minute. Pittsburgh Knights into a fight with Fireflux, and at the moment it looks like there's only 1 player remaining from the Fireflux position, but it's not going to matter. The Pittsburgh Knights cut down. They will remain 16th place on this game, on the overall tables as well, with another 0-pointer. The Goose Eggs just keep rolling in.
The Goose Eggs, the Donuts, stacking on the Knights team. Not looking good for the Knights at all. First team out as well, and in last place. Damwon Gaming, here's that split that you're talking about. They are very vulnerable to that push. 1 player is already down. Venom, the last up for this side of the 1 million defense, and it's Damwon Gaming. They are playing insanely well. Meku, though, gets a long-range third party onto Forest, and I see some more bullets pelting in. Maybe he might get that confirmation, but Venom might help out with that grenade. Throws it in. It's not going to get the confirmation. Might get some damage, though. Gets neither.
Are they on the inside? No, they're on the outside there as well. Fabian moves into the building. Sung as well is on the inside, trying to burst it. Trying to get a little bit more damage. I mean, I have to question. I still really don't like this 1 million 1-2-1 on the split. I don't think the value of getting 1 point for this is worth not being able to hold strong on that north compound. With 4 players, they can hold off down 1.
Yeah. And I think, like, the previous circle, okay, but as soon as that new circle pops up, there's going to be one team four-manning one of your positions. Like, you have to be able to assume that. So, a little bit of a slip-up for 1 million. Vampire still looking strong right there. Vampire on the far southeast of this zone, taking shots at Evos. Evos just down to Lyzerg. He's got to make a run for it and gets picked off by Fluke with the mini.
Vampire on the south side, they've racked up 3 eliminations. They're doing okay for now. It will have a difficult crossing ahead of them, but this is the challenge for top spot, remember. Godlike Stalwart coming under fire as well. They're a little bit further north than Vampire are. Again, one of those challenger teams for the top spots. Currently third place, but with 2 players down, they're going to need to try and revive those up. Luckily, no one crashing on them just yet. Northeast side, Nova, who still want to keep their hat in the ring, have lost order. Jimmy. One of the heaviest fraggers in the lobby. Jimmy moving in. Alpha leather. Using the vehicle as cover. Really wants this res.
Yeah. Good job out of Frozen, by the way. He got the opening for that. And so Jimmy can lead the fight to go for the revive. So not only does Frozen open up the fight there and essentially wipe out that team, that allows him to pick back up orders. So Frozen doing a good job coming in, getting subbed in. Very recently, I think they just subbed it in 2 games ago, or maybe just 1 game ago. But the new circle comes out, Nova loses zone once again. Same with Damwon Gaming. Everyone else in a decent spot. Vampire, I think they have the info to know where to play next, even though they don't have the next circle on top of them.
Damwon moving in, actually getting peppered away. I think that's coming through from Nova. Actually, it's Alpha 7 taking shots out that way as well. But they make it to the wall. They make it to the side of the compound. This is a 4-player crash coming through from Damwon. Vavian in first. Becker to receive for Inco. Nade being cooked already. Drops the smoke out the back. Wants to cover off some sight lines and allow themselves to focus fully, but they can't because Paraboy is here. He's lighting a fire under them. And they just don't have anywhere to turn away from it. There is no cover from this angle. Paraboy is only going to be blocked off by these smokes, and there's a timer on that one. Vavian under pressure as well as Becker chimes on in. Another knock comes through from Paraboy, and Becker is being saved. There is so much going on this engagement on the north side. Damwon needed to make a mad dash, and now Paraboy and the rest of Nova mount up in a vehicle. They're going for a full four-player crash onto the back here, and they move up to the wall. Damwon are going to hear this. The Molotov over the top, and Nova go in strong. They make the call, and they commit. Inco, they're going to let this one happen.
This could get messy. I don't know if Nova realizes there's 2 4-man teams here. He might have a good idea. The nades come in just a second too late as the rest of Damwon has already made it into cover. Fabian, brave as ever, not running into the hard cover, and he's going to eat a nade for that.
And the second one as well, a 1-2 punch coming through, more bombardment, and that's coming from the back. It's Inco chiming in. The HEs are launched on through. Nova should have a clue that their team's here as well. They spot Becker through the archway, catch a lot of flack over their way, and this is the Nova we've wanted to see for so long today, and have been denied up until this point, but can they move through it? Can they keep this one rolling? Will they lose a player? But order is in now. Takes a little bit of damage. The spray around. Nenebete wants to control through the archway. The players from Inco, they're getting ideas of grandeur, potential delusions, but we'll have to wait and see if that's the case. These teams are starting to pop off. Alpha 7 fighting with HVVP in the meantime over on the side there. On the north edge, and Alpha 7 taking a casualty and getting a flush their way. In the meantime, Damwon suffering, getting caught in the crunch. Osal wants to put the nades, the smokes, try and keep themselves safe. Nenebete could be under pressure from Frozen, but a nade over the top brings Frozen very, very low. He's going to be unwilling to peek out on this one. Still, Damwon survived, but there is only one still remaining. Sung hunkering down on the inside, gets a heal off Jimmy. Sails the bullet straight. Double knock! Becker down as well, as there's a step out coming through, and Nova are just executing on this fight. They're playing it cautious, but they're playing it strong and solid. Sung has the challenge in the hallway, doesn't have the nades, lines it up with a UMP. Frozen on the forefront, ready to receive, and now Inco will bear the brunt.
Inco's so lucky that they did not manage to fully finish out Damwon off that double knock. And a double knock right back! This is terrible for Nova. Nova is about to go out here, but can he hit this nade? Paraboy, too slow off the backside, and that is Nova getting taken out now with a double knock in return.
INC का बंदे भाई ले गया.
looked so good for Nova. They looked like they were so in control of that fight. It was measured. It was calculated. Everything was in place. And then there's a double nade knock. And then Inco run through. And they fall short again. This is not good for Nova. It's not good towards the end of the day. It's not good moving towards the end of day 3 in this tournament.
So close. Absolutely crucial, pivotal fight right there. As I was saying, if they managed to finish out Dongwon Gaming first and then hit that double knock, it would have been all over for Inco. But that last player, Dongwon, slowed things down too much for the Nova team. And then, of course, a double nade knockback spelled the doom for Nova. But there is still so many teams left in contention for the top 3 still alive. Alpha 7, STE, Vampire, HVVP, even Fireflux still in play here.
That's going to be a big confidence booster for them. 6 eliminations on the card. HVVP still going with 3. Side still yet to be decided. Vampire getting lit up a little bit there. Ooh, it's dangerous. It's spicy. With the burn from the south side. 5 eliminations coming through from the Fireflux roster, the Turkish team. Still one of those teams in contention for the top 3. And I feel like they have just been consistently racking up eliminations pretty consistently over these last couple of games. We always see them holding out in a position, 5 to 10 eliminations in these middle phases.
Really good positioning out of them. Earlier off camera, we saw Alpha 7 try and do a 4v3 against HVVP, but that got shut down, and Alpha 7 lost a player. So HVVP will hold strong in this dominant position on the Northwest. And you can see the results of that. Alpha 7 forced to play in the shadows of HVVP and just laying their head down, not able to do much anymore, even as a 3-man team. Oh, 2-man, actually. They're down to 2.
Nade over the top from Matic. Molotov being cooked. Over towards Mafioso. Revo. Potentially just lying in wait for Alpha 7. 2 players standing. HVVP, they've been without Dixie for a long time, going down to the sneaky 1 million play. That brought them crumbling to their knees. Looks like that fight won't conclude too soon. Next door, what? Does he spots Mafioso. This is good news for HVVP. Just completely blinks it out. And now they can look to push the Rift lane, or can they? As Top's still on the warpath.
Matic actually picks that one up, and he picks up the second one. Star Wars Godlike, or Godlike Star Wars, sorry. They get the knock, but they do not confirm the point. HVVP up to 6 eliminations. New zone about to play out. We have a 4-man team of USG Donuts, by the way, very near the center circle in a strong position. They have yet to start springing up into action, but with the new circle, you might see the Donuts come in and try and make their way into the survival bubble.
Shreps is still going. At the moment, all top 3 still in this. Still going. None of them with the best of times of it right now. Move up to the circle could be good. To the northeast east of La Cobraria is this sort of rumbly plateau. Full of dips, full of divots. No full sanctuary. Matic dodging through the bullet storm there. And Squash denied the knock.
Oh! That bus was like 1 shot from exploding. Got out just in time there. I decided to just continue the rest on foot with smokes. We see HVVP making a wraparound into zone on the northwest. Fireflux forced to make the difficult rotation, leaving their hard cover going wide in the open. I think they have some smokes. Not sure if they have like a rock that they're placed upon there, but we see a 4-man stacked team of Fireflux. Only one of them knocked, so they must have some good, decent cover there. Yeah, USG Donuts now defending against Bacon Time and the Skylights gaming team as they push into the southwestern edge.
Those compounders. So dangerous for so many teams. 3 teams stacked up close to one another, and it all comes down to a little bit of a crunch now. And on the outside track, Skylights Gaming looking to keep as many of themselves alive as possible, but HVVP on the broadside, lighting it up like the 4th of July. Makes me want a hot dog real bad.
Yeah, Yeah, Kitsune just magnetized right through that smoke. Headshot. Taking out Skyline's King. Helps out USG Donuts a little bit. HVVP still playing loud and tall from that high ground. Putting in 8 eliminations too. So their shots aren't just connecting. They're actually confirming a lot of these.
Donuts USG, 1 player down, 2 players to handle for Bacon Time. So, but over the top, it's got like Stalwart, top 3 position, remember, this is a contender team. 3 eliminations on the game, 4 alive, but 1 knock sent their way, a lot of low health bars here. Fireflux, they've been fragging out today, 7 eliminations on the cards, and godlike Stalwart getting overwhelmed from the back. A backstab comes through to sweep it away. Vampire might just outlast them as well.
Oh, he found him!
Finds the final coming on through from Inko, gets that done, might be able to roll
2v4?
towards Vampire as well, but hang on a minute, no, just going to fall. Fireflux move in and ruin the day there. Keep Vampire towards the top. HVVP though, still trucking. Fireflux on the warm-up, 10 eliminations. Brutal in these final circles. Bacon Time with 2. Did manage to win out that compound as well. All of these fights starting to conclude.
Yeah, the Bacon Time 2v4 USG Donuts there on the push. That's amazing. Vampire, he is still alive in here. The God rotation down into that bush keeps Vampire up, and so many crucial placement points for him. And I think everyone else is going to be fighting, and no one's going to find him until the very end. There's a chance at an insane clutch here.
It's 2019. It's right in a bush. Goodness me. Oh my God. Well, let's take a look at if it's going to come to bear, because HVVP, Vampire, both still in it. Fireflux.
Oh.
Okay, HVVP, they put a stop to that nonsense. Matic and Kitsune now will be facing 2 versus 4 against Fireflux. They are going to split 2 and 2, so if they can isolate one of these fights, they might be able to do it. Solke up on an off angle, wants to isolate and control. Kitsune knows though, look at that, he's on the outpost using the bush as cover. Solke wants to put a nade in through. Can he make this one work? The zone 9 will close right towards HVVP, so they have got a little bit of an advantage, but Matic falls, and with it, kind of any hope of holding this one out. Solke on the ridgeline will get felled. Kitsune needs to stand strong, gets the point, turns for the flush, looks for the 180, hits the shots, hits the deck, but won't be enough. Soulless with the final flush out, and Fireflux are on a tear with a huge chicken dinner. That is a big elimination count coming through from Fireflux, and again we might see a new player in the top 3.
Definitely, and rightly so. Those death slams were some thunderous death slams down there out on the end. I love this.
Lean it back.
They're just like, all right, let's cool off, take a break, bask in this glory. All right, we're right back up. Let's head into the next game.
That Miramar tan, eh?
Oh,
look at that.
Oh man, they got the camera crew in here. They got the coach. They got everyone in there. That was a tremendous win for them, and they did really well in the previous game as well. They got a 2nd place finish. Yeah, they almost clutched up that 2v1 against godlike Stalwarts. So 2 really great games in a row for Fireflux. This team looking so strong and coming into form.
30 points on the game. That's going to put them 173 on the totals overall. Good news for HVVP is that they stayed in late. Vampire Esports also staying in late, so they will be able to hold on to those top 3. Not too sure. I think godlike Stalwart did stay up pretty far, but will they be able to challenge that 173?
Yeah. Top teams here are slugging it out. Bacon Time also, they were a little bit lower, but that's a decent enough game for them to also wait for their big chicken dinner to get in.
The Royal Rumble continues here in the green group, the group of death. It's only going to get more exciting from here on out.
Bueno, काफी बंदा जो सामने से मुझे घर में जाते हैं
Fireflux wins the match with 29 total points added to their score, especially after that last match. Man, they've got to be feeling themselves, and we saw the reactions. You know this squad is hype. HBVP, the unstoppable force that cannot be stopped. 24 more points to that #1 place. They got to be feeling real good, Glitter. Real good.
Once again, a lot happened in this match. I mean, like we heard Zute saying, Fireflux been on a little bit of a come up there. Second place finish right before the chicken dinner. And as we see the head-to-head numbers here between Kitsune and Lutz, you can see that, 6 elims for Lutz to 5 on Kitsune. Tons of damage actually coming out of Kitsune. And thank you, HVVP, for waking up. You're a little bit quiet all day, and then all of a sudden, we get this. Which, the second they got knocked out of first, they just had to re-attack everything with such a strong second place performance, barely outdone by Fireflux. The two of them just dominated that match.
Yeah. What else can you say? What else can you say? These guys are stepping up right when it needs to happen. There's only one more match left for today. Then there's tomorrow, and it's all over. And it's all over. 7.
Oh, boy.
This last match that's about to come up, man.
Yeah.
Okay. We can guess what's gonna happen, right?
Yeah.
What do you think needs to happen as we take a look at the overall?
I'm glad we got a chance to see this so I can answer that question. What needs to happen is oh my gosh. Okay. I'll answer that in a bit, okay? HVVP, back to first place. 11-point lead right there. Vampire Esports second, but God likes how we're maintaining that. And Fireflux, look at that jump that they just made with the performances that they have had. This is going to be huge for them going into the last game of today with that 4th place. And then if we go down even more, what's currently scary too, you're looking at Alpha 7 Esports, you're looking at Nova, the group of Damwon Kia. That first page is just so stacked. And then we go here, right, Glitter? A team that we've been following all day, and we're like, no way this is going to happen. Inco Gaming closing down the lead for that 11th spot of Evil's Reborn.
They jumped above 1 million esports, and now they're only 10 points behind Evos Reborn. They were a team that I, myself, said that if they didn't pick it up today, there would be no hope. There was no hope, and they just completely shut me up. They have been chipping away at those points all day. 10 points is a closable gap. They're in a great position now heading into the final day, at least to get into the, the top 11.
Yeah.
Yep.
Top 11. Top 11 is where it's at. So, all right, let's break it down. Let's break it down here as we take a look at the top area performers, okay? So at this point, second page, trying to get into top 3, it's pretty much over, right?
Yep.
Trying to get into that top 11, that's a battle that we're still looking for. But at the first page, I think anybody on the first page can have a contention to still steal one of those top 3 spots. But one team that I'm really looking at here, they're not on this list, it's got to be Nova. Because I think with the gap that they have, I think they need a chicken dinner right here, right now, if they want to feel comfortable to try and take one of those top 3 spots. What do you think about that?
I couldn't agree with you anymore. Nova, we just saw flashes of greatness out of Nova there. We saw what they were able to do to that one Kia. Yeah, they did end up getting stopped by that nade that Inco Gaming threw in, but I felt like they were about to run through Inco Gaming as well. So you can see this team still has it, man. They just need to finish off here on a good note, because there are one of those teams that are currently on the first page that they got a lot to make up if they do want to make a push for those top 3. And then when we're looking here at the teams to watch, I got 1 million. I got Inco Gaming because of what we just saw on the overall. Those two teams have been fighting back and forth, in Inco Gaming making a big push. Glitter finally passing them. And then Bacon Time, you know why I actually put Bacon Time there? Because this team is starting to show me a little bit of what I saw in day 1, which was they did good at the beginning of the day, and then they just kind of fell off right up until this point.
I like the Bacon pick. I do. I think that they need to pick it up, even if it's just for the momentum heading into tomorrow. I think that would be huge for Bacon. I mean, I agree on Inco. I have them on my list as well. But Fireflux, after that performance and where they are when it comes to relation top 3, that's a squad I'm definitely keeping my eyes on. They're on a serious war path right now. And then Godlike Stalwart. I mean, there's a lot going on in our top 7 right now, so I'm excited to pay attention to it.
Yeah, they basically just like point sponged everything up there on that first page. I mean, because they're so close knit together. I mean, a chicken dinner right now, and one of those teams can really just take that lead. But Nova needs it if they want to be in the show. So let's see if they can get it as we got the final match here for day number 2. Let's take it on over to the casters for the last time today.
Oh, we are getting right back into the action with more Erangel. That was a absolute slobber knocker of a finish for Miramar. Crazy sort of area as well. Those rotations getting into it. What a hard shift up to the north, and teams were put to the test, and it was the top teams that shone through.
Yeah, so it just goes to show, regardless of where the circle is, no matter how crazy it is, the top most experienced teams will have the know-how to make it work. And it's not even the fact that they like have played that area of the map a lot. It's just they resort back to the fundamentals, right? And they take the info in as the game goes on, and they stick to the fundamentals and execute it cleanly, and they will make it to the very end. And that is exactly what we saw. Like you said, the top teams making it to the very end there.
What a way to finish that game as well. I mean, HVVP do reclaim their place at the top of the table, so only one game off the top spot so far for them. I think since they took it originally, I think it was towards the end of the first day where they came towards the top of those tables for HVVP, and since then they haven't let it slip except for against Vampire, and even then it was only on a tiebreaker. So arguably they've always been at the top of the tables, right? They've always been in a first place with those tiebreakers deciding. It's good for them to be back up there, but we have seen that they can bleed.
Yes. Losing that top spot for just a game, but they're back once again. And, you know, as consistent as HVVP is, the teams right below them showing consistency as well to potentially keep knocking at the doors of that first place position. So HVVP need to be consistent, or continue to be consistent, but also maybe even potentially have to try and step up their game a little bit to knock some teams back down and remain in a more comfortable, safe position.
Beat them back, control the garden, the weeds are getting out of it.
Yeah.
We need to make sure that those creepers aren't going to get on up the tables. Well, easier said than done, I suppose. 11 points of a lead right now. To close out day 3, it would be good to see that 20-point buffer on your side. Give yourself that little bit of a leg up. We've been hearing from Kitsune pretty much all week at this stage. We've had 2 interviews, and he's always said, I'll see you tomorrow. So that's what they're going to be looking to do.
Yeah. Also, the other reason why they want a little bit of a buffer is that there's a small chance, right, that the second place team or the third place team, if they're comfortable enough in that top 3, they might pull out a pocket strategy to knock out, you know, HVVP. We've seen how they rotate on Erangel like clockwork, always through the north, right? So if the point gap is too small and a team is really feeling it, they might play a trap card on HVVP. So that's another reason why they want to, you know, extend their lead. We saw in the first week, this was for the top 3 position, that third place team and LGD, right? LGD hot dropped right on top of them and tried to chase them down, and that got a little bit tricky. And oh my gosh, we are just what a treat this second week of the PMGC. Just circles we have not yet seen before, constantly on every map. And Fire Flux, they had a huge game, but they will lose one player early to HVVP of all teams.
And that's a really good pickup as well. Fireflux, they were pretenders to the throne after that last game, sat 4 points behind the top bubble in that 4th position. So losing a player early, not great. They have been counting on playing with 4, holding down compounds and playing an edge style. that's kind of emulatory of HVVP's style that won them so much power in those earlier days. Today, it's been a little bit lackluster, not quite as powerful, but they've still kept it consistent. Are they going for the chase? They want Lutz.
I think they weren't intending on the chase, but now they definitely are. Or maybe not.
Oh.
HVP, they're going to stick true to their playbook. They know they could get the points eventually. No need to chase that player down. So, they might not even have weapons, to be honest.
I think one or two of them do. To be fair, they're just getting to North George, their normal drop spot. Fireflux, South George, their normal drop spot. So they're just trying to get back on into the fold. Nova, though, rolling up on Pittsburgh Knights, and it is not going to go the US's way. Once more, unfortunately, Coops just gets out of that, leaves teammate to go down. It's ordered to pick up the flash.
I'm not sure what the Knights were doing there. They saw two enemies behind them, and they still dropped a player off. Well, then again, if he didn't drop that player off, they would have just chased the both of them down. So I guess that was a play. He was essentially the sacrifice. Like, good luck, get in that car quick, and get out of there. But he will go down. So that is the Knights off to a rough start again. Nova will pick up 1 point for their troubles, and maybe 2 if they spot this player that's just casually paired. I think at this point, no one's looking up at the sky, so they won't spot out that Unit Alliance player just casually floating over the top of the Nova team.
Touchdown of 3 minutes and 40 seconds there. That's fairly late, I would say.
Yeah.
Especially that it was... I mean, you wonder why, right, as well. Like, I mean, I guess they're going for a... I mean, they are split looting near Ruins and Sunken. They're just playing for that split drop. Gatka will be the target for Nova. But with this northeast circle, I mean, we talked about it being very surprising, but those rotations are going to condense. It's going to be bridge crossings that are vital. The East George Bridge, even the West George Bridge potentially as well for Nova to break out that wide. The Cube compound that's going to be vital on that side. The positions north of Roshok as well on that north side of the river going to be super, super crucial. And then, of course, that Stalber rotation side is going to be a whole different ballgame.
Yeah, so I'm looking back at the plane path, right? It was very far to the east. That Udu Alliance player parachuted, counting the amount of squares he parachuted across, he parachuted around 2,000 meters.
Oh, I think that's right near the limit, right?
Yeah, he parachuted 2,000 meters. That's why he made his touchdown at the 3+ minute mark. So
what's the limit of parachute distance? Isn't it like 2.1 or like 2.3, something around that?
I don't know.
Let's double check.
I parachute down for a vehicle nearby and then take the drive.
That's fair.
I don't want to mess with parachuting over 2,000+ meters. But yeah, I think that, counting the grids on the squares, yeah, that was around 2,000 meters that player just pulled off. So longest parachute distance for sure so far in the second week.
Longest time in the air. I mean, that's pretty cool.
That should be a stat. Parachute time.
Parachute time. Oh dear. I'll put in a request for next week. See if we can get that sorted. But for now, they are all firmly both feet on the ground. Nobody going for a swim either at this stage. Might be seeing Donos USG crossing over near Roshok to the north side of the river. Vampire on the north side. Happy about the circle shift. Nobody making fast breaks just yet up north.
I would love to see a Stalber circle. Every tournament broadcast I talk about, one of the best games I've ever watched was on Stalber. I do believe it was one of the PMGCs too, because I just clear memory of BTR dominating up there in Stalber. And I've seen like almost every military base, Milton Power, Corey, you name it. But the Stalber one, I only once want to see the second Stalber competitive circle. And this circle, there's a chance at that happening.
Nova looking like they want to get back in those vehicles and get gone. Order only with a level 1 helmet there. Should be okay, but not ideal. Certainly not in this lobby. Get it taken clean off fairly sharpish. Pittsburgh Knights, they lost Xenox early to a little bit of a hot drop on a vehicle. We talked about that before as well. Down to 3. one of the two players to fall, the other one being a Fireflux player going down to HVVP on that north side. Again, to a vehicle hot drop.
Yeah, this plane path so far to the east does cause some troubles early game for some of these teams. Nova right here. I feel like when you see that, when you see a player kind of chasing a vehicle, I think that's just to keep info and to make sure they are driving further away. So Order kind of chasing those players away to secure the bridge crossing. Nova should be looking to do more so of a rotation. I've never seen Nova really play from the edge on Circle 1. They will always try and get further in to the center whenever possible. Bacon time here coming in from the southeast. A lot of question marks with a circle like this. Even for the teams in the middle. Yeah, even for teams smack in the middle, right? There's still that kind of river in play that if it goes down to the south, they have to make a difficult crossing. So
I mean, we could still have a Yas Fields finish, right? Like that's still very possible. If it doesn't shift up to the north side. So you do want to have those options, you're right. Absolutely. On the west side, HVVP still in the blue zone. We'll have to swing out a little bit further north. Fireflux moving in as well, leaving Ketch actually still running around in crates, maybe wanting a little bit more loot. Will go up, and there is the shift. Zute, it's north. It is going to hold Stalber and Severny both on the bottom side of it. Again, a hard north shift.
Well, I did ask for it, so
I guess you did.
yeah, it's an absolute treat to be watching these games. You know, usually we get similar circles, especially on Erangel, like back to back to back. This, man, Miramar, Sandhawk, and Erangel, where we get cool, like, niche circles. I mean, it is putting these teams in for a run, right? Like, they really need to be pulling out all the stops, especially Nova right now. Really dead shooting straight in for a strong position, more center. And I think with a zone like this, it could pay off huge for them.
Certainly could. Jimmy and Order make it to the tiny little ridge line there that they're going to be playing from for a little bit. We'll be able to get cover from down one. They have nice sightlines over towards Donos USG out on the west. HVVP also going to be pushing in along the coastline. I feel like this is a good spot for them, for their play style, for everything that they've tried to aim for. Playing with that coast to your side really, really shuts down on the angles that you need to be worried about. And we haven't really seen today, I would say, a classic HVVP game.
Yeah, that's fair. They haven't really been getting a chance to just play from edge because they've been getting the circle. But that last Miramar game, right, they got the circle in their home field La Cabrera, and they managed to get a second place finish. So getting the circle, not getting the circle, they know how to do both. They know how to, pull out their playbook and maximize as many points as they can. And I even remember in the very beginning of the game, last game, I was like, maybe they don't want the circle, and then gave the argument that, they should be able to do both, and they can definitely do both.
Yeah, they absolutely can. They're going to be moving on the east side of Severny right now. They are letting Fireflux go ahead of them. Actually, Udo Alliance as well from the south might be pushed into Fireflux because HVVP won't let them go further north. They might have to branch down south for Udo Alliance, or they might just ride straight on through and get torn to pieces in the crossfire.
Might very well happen. Here on the northeast, we have 3 teams. We have Inco, 1 million, and Alpha 7. So HVVP coming in from the west side on the north, and Alpha 7 coming on the eastern edge on the north. Both of these teams with very, very similar play styles.
North side.
Oh, here we go.
Oh my goodness.
Here we go.
This keeps Stalber in. This is the hard. I mean, the two before were hard shifts, but this is the hard shift, right? This is a downhill slope from Stalber towards the coastline. It's a lot of rocks in the way on that downward slope from Stalber, although this side is a little bit more rolling than the south side. There's still going to be some tricky terrain to navigate.
Yeah, the whole entirety of the middle section of the map is different levels of slopes. So it gets very tricky because you can have staggered teams all up and down the middle where there's no clear sight lines, but if you take a little bit of circle control and peek over, here's a good shot. Here's one ridge, right? You move further up another ridge line, and then further up another ridge line. There could be a lot of teams all right next to each other that will manage to survive. But as for Power and Vampire getting taken down to 2 players. That's a huge knock for Sweeps, though, as he stops the bleeding of his team. But Power is going to push right back in, and that is Vampire down to just 1 player.
Yeah, Fluke is out of there. Look at that. Sliver of HP. Was that like 20 HP there for Fluke? Just falling away, falling back. Not even going to try and challenge that one out. Moves closer to Bacon Time and to down 1 as well. Still very much in danger. But this is what we're talking about. With these stratas of plateaus and ridge lines, you do create a linearity to these engagements, right? You create a line, a queue of where you take these fights back and forwards until you have to start going up and down, which is caused by the circle.
Yeah, going up and down is this is probably the most difficult area of Arendelle to go up and down, because there's some really strange sight lines as Bacon Time taking it against Damwon Gaming. 4 eliminations, not even getting a player knocked here. Bacon Time, they're back, and they just knocked out Damwon Gaming, who was pretty much right next to them in points.
Bacon Time playing on that 5th position right now. A team that still is absolutely in the conversation, although there is that sort of little gap starting to form. 14 points to jump up. They've already eaten 4 of them, so that leaves 10 between them and Fireflux. Udo Alliance on the west side. EVOS splitting down the middle. Currently a 2-2 split for Udo Alliance. They've been at the back of the queue for a long time now. HVVP a little bit further north. 2 limbs for them. They should be happy to play on this north coast.
1 headshot gets him down to 1 HP. Forced to do the first aid while also taking blue damage. When this zone closes, that blue damage is only going to increase. And Udo Alliance wondering where their vehicles are. I do see 2 of them on a buggy. The other 2, though, stuck in the blue and just driving through an absolute minefield right now. Teams, look at that. 4 players to the north, 1 player to the south. The last player of Vampire will get contested here.
Oh, it's only a duo. They spot Fluke. He steps up, gets a little bit of damage. Fades away instantly. Okay. He's going to try and play the confidence game and let Udo Alliance try and think that he's still there, but no. Runs all the way away and will be caught in the back. Vampire Esports down. 15th place. Great news for teams like Fireflux, for teams like Godlike Stalwart, and for HVVP, to be fair as well. That is a spot that absolutely could be achieved by Fireflux in this game.
Definitely so. Next circle did shift. It pulled away from the water, so it kind of just centers right on the landmass, forcing HVVP now to move on in. And here comes HVVP doing the tried and true edge style play, always keeping teams in front of them, making sure everyone behind them gets funneled in the front. Uncomfortable for some teams to deal with, but that is exactly the situation HVVP wants, as Skylights Gaming, Spec hopping in the car, hopping out the car, trying to pull some tricky moves, gets taken down instead.
It's not going to go well for him. Tenser, one of the 2 players now standing for the Pittsburgh Knights, close by to this engagement. Mr. Board wants to try and shut this one down. Tenser, is he going to drop all the way over the back? No, he is actually going to go for the drop shot, strafes it downwards, and Tenser clutches out that 1v1. Skylights Gaming will get eliminated, so it's Tenser and Coops for Pittsburgh Knights. 4 eliminations on the game with a duo remaining, and actually no one too close to them on the south side.
But there's still 13 teams alive. They need to survive much longer to start getting those placement points in, as EVOS firing off some shots towards HVVP, and very unlikely scene. It's actually HVVP driving away and kind of getting pushed off here by the EVOS team.
HVVP shots over to the south. Again, clearing out these backfill potentials. Look at the position held by Meku. Going to be trying to corral EVOS to their south, force them to push in without being able to move in behind them. The Donos USG squad as well will stop that EVOS roster moving forwards. As long as HVVP don't take a knock, EVOS die here. There is no 2 ways about it. Well, unless they're going to hit shots like that time after time. Micro Boy, certainly pretty brutal with it. Looks like the rundown might come on through. Hang on a minute. They're going to choose the fire to go straight on through. They're not going to go quietly. And they'll find a second knock as well. EVOS tearing open the circle as they make their way in further south.
Yeah, they want to make that bubble just a little bit wider, that bubble gap for the survival. USG Donuts down to one player. They were not expecting that. All it took was for one nice lonk, and then everything got ripped open. The Knights with the 2 players sitting comfortable on the south, but they are on the edge in the next circle here as Bacon Time still continuing to rain out shots. This is the northeast of the map now. Alpha 7 close by next to Bacon. Another snipe knock. Revo, once again, I saw that earlier in the elimination feed, but they get traded by Fireflux, which is going to slow things down. Now it's Power and Inko in the 4v4.
Very important fight for Inko. Currently sat of the bubble, 10 points behind. So if they can beat out Power here, this is going to be a great ladder up for them.
Uh-oh.
One knock sent their way, but look at the nade being cooked. 2 going to throw one in. Actually didn't really get too much there. Vitali's still bleeding out, but 3 players are still there for Inko. They're going to move forwards. The burn down onto Microboy is good. And now Power... Sorry, that was from the Evos fight going on. The elimination feed is lighting up all ways of the circle. 2 players from Power active. Inko activated with 2 as well, but Becker is low. It's up to Squash. Will not be able to find the frag, and that is Power ruining the day for Inko. Their charge for that bubble at the bottom is not going to go any further today. They only have those 6 games tomorrow to do it.
That fight looks so good for Inko, and then they just slow things down and ate a few too many nades. Next circle shifts down to the south. This gives Stalwarts Esports on top of Stallber a very dominant position. Nova's smack in the middle of everything. They will have to try and weather the storm, but all the teams having to move in now.
Fireflux looking to take shots over towards Alpha 7. 1 knock already sent over to Mystic. Alpha 7, all 4 of them are alive. Tap shot man from Lutz. Not quite able to thread the needle there. Might be able to spot Revo in the vehicle. Will actually land a headshot there in a second as well to follow it up. Not quite getting the knock. And HVVP catch EVOS. They've been eating at the heels of EVOS this whole west side. And this is the HVVP that I wanted to see today. They are playing that edge. They are just harrying everybody, wearing them down, tiring them out, playing the marathon.
Yeah, HVVP navigates this end zone so well. It looked like they were at the disadvantage when they got pushed to the downhill side, but HVVP, they know what they're doing, and they're actually getting the advantage right back. Bacon Time, they want to be in that top 3. They had a pretty good game last game. They start off this game strong with a double knock onto Alpha 7. This could be a push potential for Bacon Time. They'd have to push outside of zone, but Udo Alliance actually gets another shot in, and this is what I was talking about. These angles up and down the hill is so tricky because there's sight lines that these players aren't used to or aware of.
I just want to isolate that res over onto Shirty. After taking a knock from the sniper earlier on, they just want to stay up as 4, and rightly so. When you're in the contest for the top 3, you definitely want the best chance you can. HVVP roll up on Tensor. He's got no chance there. Coops knows it. Not even going to try to go for the save. But Tixie's under fire. Where is that from? That might be coming through from actually Godlike Stalwart all the way up the top of the mountain. Maybe even Bacon Time across the way. It's close enough now.
Oh, perfect name. Out of ISIS. Finishes off that player. Bacon Time now have to move into the zone, but they dealt with their backside. Now they have to deal with their side. Just so many angles to worry about in this area of the map. Above you, to your left, to your right, the ridges. It's like just leverage fights all across the way. Style is down. I don't think they could get that revive. They got to run full force into the Udo Lions team. And Marshall's here with the pan out. Does get caught out. Nice little timing to look back.
Udo Alliance, with their 2 players remaining, will be able to pick up that point. Repo Boy, Siamel will stay alive. Nades over the way as well. Circle shifts away from them. Nova still have a good slice. HVVP on the south side. They've moved down a little bit further that way after taking down EVOS. And maybe looking to take the top and challenge out with Godlike Stalwart. But there's a knock over to Meku. That's going to slow the progression.
8 eliminations for HVVP. They're absolute machines. They make the game look so easy, right? It's like, just control the edge and make sure no one's behind you, and then kill everyone in front of you.
And they move sort of in and out. They breathe into the edge of these circles as well. They scout out. They spot a little bit of a opening in the armor of any team nearby, they pull it back towards them. We saw it with EVOS. They don't go for those crashes. They just wait for the isolated player.
Such a strong team. Teams on the north, though, have to start making their way down south, which is uphill for them. Quite difficult to do. Nova still holding strong with their 3 players. They lost one earlier on, and Bacon Time making this absolutely work for up to 12 eliminations now. Bacon Time showing what time it is.
And they are right up there with Fireflux and Godlike Stalwart right now. With 12 eliminations, they're on 170 total. So that puts them very much within striking range for this final finish. With the placement points racking up, with more elimination points, they can absolutely get into the top 3 this game. Definitely have that chance, but the north side is heating up, and it might be time for the bacon to be cooked.
I'm going to cook some bacon myself after this. Yeah, I'm getting quite hungry here. And HVVP actually deciding to swing all the way up north to take the fight straight to Stalwarts Esports. They want to win this game. They don't want to just make it in and get a lot of points. They want to go for the decisive victory, and controlling that top hill would be the best way to start.
Look at that rundown. Fireflux rack up a point there, but Matic is on the broadside to Paraboy, hits the deck, crawls away, and the DP shot's not going to have the vision. Might just be able to land it. Finally gets the tickle. And that's Matic on the back foot as well. Completely separate from the rest of HVVP. Blue zone closing. That's a dead player. There's no way you're getting that back up, which leaves HVVP on 3. Stalwart, Godlike, the only team with 4 alive now.
There's a 4th team still in this. Ooh, wait, who's the 4th HVV? Oh, okay. I see.
Fireflux and Nova downhill.
Yeah, so we got the 2 teams downhill and the 2 teams uphill. I think it comes down to the next circle. But either way, I feel like it's going to be a 4-way fight. And actually, HVVP has backed off the top fight against Stalwart and is going back down into Nova. But Nova getting very aggressive here, getting 2 knocks. HVVP just only down to 1. It is all down to Tixie.
This is the guy you want, though, as a Lone Ranger. If you had to pick one of the roster, it is going to be Tixie. Paraboy wants to take that mantle, though, and Kitsune eats the bullets for the teammate. Will protect from the spray. But Paraboy moves ever closer. He's encroaching. He wants this close range challenge. He is that specialist at this range. Jimmy has the supporting fire on the right-hand side, but Tixie, quicker on the draw. Around the side of the crate, takes down Paraboy. The aggression is punished. And now the nade can come through and seal the deal. If he can break up the hill, he might even be able to find some safety, as long as Godlike Stalwart don't move into position to try and get that overlook.
I'm surprised no one's trying to third-party this engagement here. And I'm also surprised Paraboy moved up there. It's usually Order who's better in the close-range situation. Have Paraboy back in the Wizard Tower for that long-range support. But it looks like they'll be able to get that revive. Tixie just by his lonesome, and he's being pinned down by Jimmy here. And here Jimmy now with the cover fire. He throws out a nade, which does get Paraboy confirmed, though. Tixie getting the point in, getting it done still.
I have also been able to take, if it went a different way, Order might have gone down there as well. It was right on target, but Jimmy really important there. Now it's Godlike Stalwart to try and seal the deal. The crucial team in this is Nova. The other 2 already in the top 3, Nova with a chance to catch up. But the fact that all 3 of the top 3 are in this final circle, in the final 4, changes things entirely. This M249 for Jimmy in the Wizard Tower doing so much work, but Lutz is chiming in as well. 4 Fireflux, sprays over towards Order, forces him to back up. Jimmy on a turret.
Yeah, I was saying Paraboy should be the one doing the long-range support, but after that spray with the M249 out of Jimmy, okay, looks like Jimmy also knows what he's doing. Nova down to 2, both Fireflux and Stalwarts with 3. Who's going to take the fight first? And Stalwarts is going to go for the hard crash. Order gets 1.
Already picks up 1, finds a second as well on the hold with Jimmy's helpers from the top rope. Drops down, gets the flush as well, and Godlike Stalwart's position is dismounted in short order, but Order being still a little bit short as well. We'll be able to get back up to the cover of Jimmy. This is such a devastating position from Jimmy. What a guy. What a stand-up from the roster. 9 eliminations as well on the game. Can they go further? 3 players alive from Fireflux, and as yet they've been untouched.
Yeah, Order really wants to go up there to finish off that player. I feel like Nova kind of realized they're at a disadvantage against Fireflux, so if they could take out godlike stalwarts, that gives them another boost in placement points. That's why you see Order trying to run back up there even after getting pelted by 3 players of Fireflux and going down to 1 HP. He really wants to confirm that. But with this new circle, godlike stalwarts should just go out to the zone first, if anything. So now Nova can calm down a little bit, get a better chance at securing a second place, and maybe, but very unlikely, winning this 2v3 against Fireflux, who has the dominant position and the zone.
Scry looking to put out something. Yeah, Order's still breaking out wide. They're so aware of Scry. Know these sightlines, but in the meantime, Fireflux have established Lutz on the high ground. They've moved him up to a really, really good position. And look at that.
He got
That's exactly what you want. There's the nade over towards Scry. They confirm that. They get the placement point. They get that ladder up.
That's good.
That is certainly good. 10 eliminations for Nova coming through. It's Order and Jimmy to try and play a 2 versus 3.
Yeah, they cannot hit Order on this sloping hillside. Every time Order has run up and down, they've missed every shot, and Order actually returns the favor. This needs to be the aggressive push. They know there's a revive going on there, and there's one more player probably in a higher angle. Here comes the push, a 2v3.
Suppresses the line, and look at that pair fire maneuver from Order and Jimmy. Jimmy makes it to the crate. Order suppressing the ridge line. Fireflux can't peek into it. They're too low HP. Jimmy looking for the heal. So is Order. Lutz will be pivotal in the coming moments. In the throes of this battle, that off angle will be vital. If Nova can spot it, they even the Order. But Lutz strikes, and the need to put the final nail in the coffin, and a second chicken dinner today for Fireflux to bring them in towards that contention. That might even be enough to bring them all the way up to be near HVVP, but there was a high elimination count in a late game there. The top of the table survived so long, Zute.
Oh my god. 2 wins in a row for Fireflux. That was a huge win, but also I would almost argue that was a huge second place for Nova. It will put them in a position coming into the last day where it's like, it's doable. It's definitely doable, but so much has changed on the leaderboard, I feel, besides HVVP, right? They probably cemented their lead a little bit more. Wait, hold on a sec. Fireflux might have actually closed that gap with that second win.
So here's the thing, though. This is a 4 elimination chicken dinner, right?
Oh, it's
fairly
only
low,
4.
Fairly quiet. HVVP, I think they broke 10 at some point during that game. And they went out, what, 3rd or 4th? Something like that. 4th. So it's still pretty high placements.
I see. Yeah. Man, what a series of games that we've had, and I only feel like the last day it's going to get even better, John.
We've been given that platform. These teams still have it all to play for. Towards tables is so much more volatile. We are still in a 1 chicken dinner situation for those teams to...
Whenever Joey is like cynical, I was suspected that he is an honest player. So that's why I'm PMG about Joey dominant like Joey by 6 के लिए दिया.
Fireflux clutching it up, but Nova are going to be getting the most points in this match with 10 eliminations on the board. Can't forget Bacon Time as well. I mean, the plot has thickened here, 7.
It definitely has. I mean, Bacon Time with those 14 eliminations, 20 points total. Are you kidding me? And then we have HVVP being able to put up 10 elims like John Allen and Sute was saying, 18 points for them. All the teams that needed to perform definitely perform here. Evil's Reborn, if we go down, I mean, they were able to get 3 points. Alpha 7, though, only getting 2 points there, Glitter.
Yes.
You know... It's going to be a rough last day for this group. Tomorrow is going to be really, really tough competition because so many of these teams are going to need to get every single point that they can to keep themselves where they want to be in that overall leaderboard. As we take a look here at our players to watch, Tixie, 35 eliminations, #1 damage, actually top, and we saw top pulling off some crazy plays. Over 9,000 damage, and then Matic on the assists with 17. I mean, HVVP still looking insanely strong, especially after the last game of the day. We saw some teams slow down and then pick it back up. We saw some people carrying their momentum from yesterday, and this is what we actually want to see here. 7, Fireflux jump up to second place. I mean, that's what they needed. That was what they needed.
That's what happens when you have 3 great performances back to back to back. Fireflux putting themselves now in contention. This was a team that not so long ago, I mean, we weren't really talking much about them, but they're showing the potential that they have and the quality of players they have. 291 points and then got like Stalwart, I mean, 189. This is how close everything is between those teams, right? And then we go to the second page, and I mean, we're going to keep an eye on Power Esports. That was a team that at some point was top 4 today. They have definitely fallen. He was reborn, maintaining that 11th place. We see it go back and forth. Inco Gaming, though, one that we have kind of kept an eye on throughout the whole day, though. Glitter, 12th place, 1 million, 13th place. It's gonna, like you said, it's gonna be absolute madness tomorrow.
I couldn't even possibly imagine what the prep going into tomorrow is going to look like for so many of these squads, because even the ones that are currently safe